And we're just kind of bouncing from, project to project. The S series, the aluminium bike, has been super popular, and that's allowed us to create a bike that's, super strong, available to more people, at our price point, and hopefully top secret still, but something with a bit more of a to it coming soon.
That's a nice teaser, that, mate. I like that.
They've specifically told me not to,
really?
not to mention.
So you beep that.
Yeah, don't mention that there might be an e.
Mate, I actually don't know how to introduce this one. It's too much. We've got a list here that we could go through. Davey, what have we got on the list?
On the list, we've got 9 World Cup wins, 2 overall titles, 2 World Champs victories, Hardline inventor and winner, bike brand owner, bike park owner, Rampage second place. The list could go on.
Have the listeners guessed who it is yet? Even though it's in the title. Hyped to have him here. Gee Atherton, everyone. Hey!
Thank you, lads. A lovely intro.
Finally.
Well, it's actually hard to do one, dude.
Yeah, that's difficult. It's difficult to get into, I imagine.
Yeah. How would you summarise yourself?
Well, I wouldn't have managed that list. I'd forgotten about half of those things. So it would have been a lot shorter.
I actually had to check. I had to check the World Cup wins because I think someone asked you when we were at Rampage, and you actually missed one of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to check that it was right or not, but you were probably right. We probably got it.
Yeah, I'm never quite sure. I know that people often lump me and Rach's together, and
really?
Mine sounds so pathetic when they're compared with Rach's. If I do an interview with Rach, they'll introduce her as 50 times World Cup winner or something.
What do you get, G?
And then they're when I say 8 or 9 or something, they look at me a bit unlucky. Feel sorry for me a bit.
What a wild old family. Has Dan got World Cup wins in 4-cross as well?
Yeah, he's got a 4-cross World Cup win.
That's
yes.
pretty cool as well.
In fact, I think I've got a 4-cross World Cup win, and I include that in the number sometimes to bump it up a little bit.
Round it up a bit.
Yeah.
Make it 10.
Chuck it in there.
I don't know. That 9 is probably already got it in there, I imagine.
So that says 8 World Cup downhill. We were trying to do a bit of research, but it's actually... I mean, even the fact that you have to look into it means there's enough that you have to look into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a pretty quick answer with the rest of us, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not many over this side, I'll be honest with you. This
Nothing
side
over here.
Still time, boys. Still time.
Yeah, it's quite slim picking.
But yeah, Athy's got a 4-cross World Cup win, which was sick. I remember it was...
Oh, really?
Yeah, as in Andorra. Yeah.
Mate, he used to be well exciting to watch. 4-cross.
Yeah,
it was he was from a different angle, wasn't it?
It was when 4-cross was good fun.
Floodlit, loads of logos.
Yeah.
Lines.
And it was always, everyone would do it after the downhill, I would almost prefer it. I'd be more fired up for the 4-cross,
It's such a bizarre thought, actually, that it's changed enough that people are and actually that you've been a World Cup racer through. Oh yeah, we'll just race the 4-cross and then we need to ice my legs and be ready for the next.
Yeah, it's a mental thing to think. Imagine, I can't imagine it now. All the downhillers finishing practice now, changing bikes, going back up the hill for 3 or 4 more hours racing, finish at 11 o'clock at night. It was the worst idea. Yeah, but everyone did it. It was just the done thing. But yeah, you wouldn't do it now.
I think it's missing.
Bring it back.
A bit.
I'd like to.
Yeah.
Do you know part of why we're reading out all of those things is that, it's actually quite hard to categorize you now.
Oh, okay.
You're a mountain bike legend, I would say, is the closest thing we got.
That's how I introduce myself.
How would you though? How would you?
Yeah, a mountain bike legend's fine. I'm happy with that.
How would you honestly? What is your job role now?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, really. I mean, for me now, the big mountain stuff, the filming stuff is purely my focus, really.
Yeah.
And then obviously we're very involved, all 3 of us, with the bike company, the race team, the bike park. It takes up a lot of time. So you almost have to jump from one thing and then change hats, put on a completely different mindset and then dive into whatever problem you're trying to solve with one of those 3, and then like get back to what you're doing. So there's a lot of like jumping and changing about, but yeah, less racing for me now, but definitely more of that, like the adventure stuff, the filming projects, the big mountain stuff. Because well, that's what I'm like enjoying the most at the moment, I'd say.
Right.
You're just fresh off one that's coming out, right? It's not going to be out now as people listen to it, but you're...
Oh yeah, a couple of weeks, yeah.
Is that you've finished filming that? That's done.
Yeah, we finished filming it.
Good feeling?
And I didn't think we were going to. We had this mad, like it was just a really long, slow build through the summer. And then the weather just like jumped to winter sooner than I expected. And we hadn't really done any of the filming at this point.
Right.
And then it just stayed bad. And I was thinking, oh God, that's it. Like it's going to go to winter now. I've just spent the whole summer building something. I'm just going to have to tear down over winter and never ride. But we managed. We filmed it.
Do you feel pressure over those film things? Because it's just you up there on a bike, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. I really enjoy them. I really enjoy these filming projects. But I think you have to be careful not to like go down like you have to be strict with yourself, like come up with a plan, come up with an idea, come up with a reason you're doing it, and then stick to that and not just get drawn down the like the views kind of rabbit hole and get directed by that,
blinded by virality.
Yeah, and it like turns around. Instead of you thinking of something cool and then doing it and then people watch it, like it becomes you like what's going to get loads of views, what are people going to watch, and then you end up changing what you're doing, and you're not doing it for like the art of doing something cool. You're doing like
I feel that
it's
with
like
yours.
The,
I feel
the
like
tail wagging the dog a bit.
Yeah, I feel like you can see that there are things that you're actually into.
Yeah, I've tried to.
Yeah,
something that you can film and then like produce and create, and you create something quite cool, and it will stay there for a bit, and you know people will watch it a few times and go back to it. And
so does your relationship with a project change once it's gone out? Like let's say one, trying to think of examples, but like one goes crazy viral. Does it change in your mind? Like, oh, that was more successful, or are you still just happy with the outcome of conquering said line?
Yeah, I know what you mean. You do get a little bit down that like, how's it doing? Looking at the views and like, is it getting loads of attention? But also, I'm always really proud of like what you've created. Like I'm proud of like sitting there with someone like Robbie Mead from Penny and creating something that's really cool, that you're really proud of, that's like, you adjust and refine and go back to again and again and like add little bits and like the effort that goes into those filming projects is incredible. Like weeks and weeks in the mountains or somewhere fairly inhospitable, and taking big risks and working hard. So you want to create something you're proud of at the end of it, and that you show people and you're like, look at this, guys, look what we've done. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of lessons in that, just about like just the world at the moment and just chasing views and making things soulless, and all you're worried about is just that view count and the likes and the this and the that, and it's just not.
Yeah, and it's so easy to do, and you guys were just mentioning it before. It's so easy to create something that like gets loads of views and gets loads of attention, but then just like it's like a wisp of smoke. Like the next week, it's just gone completely, and you're like, God, that took so long to make, and it's just disappeared. Like, that's kind of tricky.
Yeah, it makes it way more important that it's something that you like, then, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think if I can create something I'm proud of and pleased about, and like, I'm pleased when I show people, then that's enough for me.
How long was your World Cup career?
Oh, years.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of even approximately. It's got to be.
Well, it depends when we stop the date.
Yeah, true.
In my head, it's still ongoing.
It's still ongoing. Okay. Well, my apologies, but like, how long have you been racing World Cups then? Because this is
maybe my first World Cup was 2003ish.
Oh my.
2002, 2003, I think. I know I won my first one in 2004. So yeah, a few years.
I mean, I guess what I was getting at is that like you don't see many people go from World Cup racing to the things that you're doing alongside. Like, what do you think it is that makes you want to do that? Because it really a World Cup career is quite like regimented, isn't it? It's quite different to what living in the mountains.
Yeah, absolutely is. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, to be honest, like a World Cup career, if you're doing well, you know, it's incredible. Like it's amazing, and you know, it unlocks stuff that you could never do otherwise. But you know, you're putting every part of your life to it. You know, it's not like you've got this life and then over here you've got your World Cup career. You know, it's every second of every day. You like it. You know, it was for me then, and it is for the boys now that are doing well. You know, you dedicate every minute of every day to it. So there's no time for anything else. So I think when I suddenly was like racing less, suddenly I was like, I can do this project, I can go here. Like I've got that freedom, if you like, to like, you know, when I was racing less, suddenly I had the opportunity to do all the things I kind of wished I could have done whilst I was racing, but you just can't, you know. So now suddenly I'm like, let's go to this place and find some lines there and build something gnarly. And, you know, I've got the time and the freedom and the backing to do it.
Was there ever, when you were racing World Cups, opportunities within it to, let's say you're in a whatever country, foreign country or something, and you're like, oh, I can look at this line over there, I can go ride that a week after, day after, anything, or you're just in that World Cup?
No, you're in it. Yeah, you're in it, and you're either like leading up to the race, but all you're thinking about is the race, or it's after the race, and you're like, right, let's get out of here because we're going to the next race or training or like. And it was hard to do other stuff, you know. Even I remember Rampage. Like Rampage was always, you know, it's a special place in my heart for Rampage. You know, you boys know that. And even when I was doing Rampage and doing well at it, people would be like, why are you doing that? Like,
right,
you're putting yourself at risk. You know, I'd do Rampage and pick up an injury and then spend that whole off season like recovering, and then just get healthy in time for the World Cup season. And sponsors would be like, oh, you don't need to do Rampage. It'd be better if you weren't. Like, just focus on the World Cups. And, you know, there really is no time for anything else, really.
Yeah. Is there a world in which you just focused on big mountain and freeride and didn't go down the World Cup route?
Oh, if I'd like done it all again, you mean?
Yeah.
Just done it completely differently.
Yeah. Was there any points in your career where it could have happened?
I mean, no. I mean, I wouldn't have changed anything.
Okay.
And I think, you know, the way I approach these projects, these filming projects, these big mountain trips, you know, I take what I've learned from, you know, what worked in World Cups and approach it in the same way, you know, like very detailed, very planned, you know, even from the training or the preparation or like making, like leaving no stones unturned, if you like. So you know, I don't think I'd be able to do them as well as I'm doing them now if I'd not had that race career to, you know, refine things a bit.
Yeah. Oh.
Now you're older and more matured. You look back on any of World Cup times and just think, whoa, like what you and your family were up to. There must be some crazy memories.
A little bit, yeah. And I think the things that were just normal and the things that you would just brush off, you know, like Rach winning every World Cup in a season, like
yeah.
And then she comes home at the end of the season. She's like, "Oh, we should have a party to celebrate my great season." And me and Athy are like, "Oh, stop going on about it. You know? we've heard enough about this. We know you've won every World Cup." Like, and
we were there
like,
the whole time.
Yeah. I'm like, "Oh, Rach has won again. Jesus God." And like, it was the norm, you know, or like, you know, me and Rach winning world champs on the same day, and it was like, "Oh, that was cool. Yeah, like good result." But like, it was just, I think when you're like, you normalize stuff to make it, you know, or the injuries as well. Like, you know, sometimes all three of us would be injured, or like me and Athy been in hospital at the same time, having an operation on like the same limb, like back to back in the bed, like just weird stuff like that now looking back, you're like, yeah, that was a bizarre situation. But at the time, you just normalize because you had to, you know.
Yeah. It's ever such a unique isn't it? Like, yeah, especially when you do zoom out, and I guess you do think back to those times of the travelling circus, like the Atherton family just amongst it, and oh god, it's.
And dude, like probably out of all the guests we've had, you've experienced the most, like in terms of hype around your pits. You know, you've got like 2 or 3 potential winners at a World Cup, and you've got all of the world's mountain bike media just on you, just every second. I've like seen as an observer what it's like, and it's pretty full on. Like,
yeah, and I think that's something else that you just normalize. You know, when you're in that race environment and you're, you know, every weekend is just another race pits in another country. It does feel perfectly normal to just be like in this tiny little pit area in this tent with like people crowded around you, and you're just going about your kind of daily business of, you know, working your way down the track, getting up to speed, going through a race weekend, just ticking things off. And you would just be comfortable with it, and it seemed chill. And, you know, it's not until you kind of, as you say, like almost see it from the outside looking in. And I see that now with when I'm at races now with the team. You know, I'm still there in the pits, but you definitely look at it slightly differently. And, you know, it is a mental environment.
yeah,
Yeah, it is a strange environment, and very intense as well.
yeah,
Like very intense.
Yeah.
And every run you're having to, like, you know, you're taking such risks. And, you know, you see the boys now, you know, they're going so fast and they're pushing so hard and taking such risks. And it's amazing to see, but, you know, it's what you have to do well at a World Cup.
It's it's wild to think back. I mean,
isn't it?
sometimes I'm reality checking, going to races and seeing you guys and just all the hype around it. Obviously, we were mindful, Ollie and I, before coming into this, and not doing like a complete timeline of your career, because it'd be really difficult.
Yeah, it
there's
really
too
drag
much.
on as well.
Quite a
doesn't
lot. But yeah, again, I guess I'm just having a reality check when you think back to, you know, the Atherton project and going to World Cups and seeing you guys, whether it's on trek or whatever it was. Just the amount of time that's passed and all those weekends and stuff is just unreal.
And I don't know why. I don't really like talking about the racing side.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I was in it for so long, like in that race environment for so long. You know, I look back on it a bit like almost like it drags on a bit, and I'm like, feel like if I tell other people about it, they're like, yeah, we're kind of sick of hearing about this.
Okay.
Like I did this like tour last year of all these talks talking about my career and stuff, which was a really cool thing to do.
Yeah.
The bit I really struggled with and didn't really enjoy that much was talking about my race career and talking about the various, you know, people would say, oh, why don't you mention that win or this win? And I don't really enjoy talking about the racing for some reason, you know. I don't know.
That is
Rach loves it though. You should get her on. She loves
trying,
sitting
dude.
down and going back and reminiscing about
As an open
various.
invitation.
Yeah. Good luck.
It's funny, like at a race weekend, I would say you never look too phased. At Rampage, you never look too phased. Doing these ridgelines, you never look that phased. But there is are you ever scared? Some of the stuff I see you doing, I just don't see the, I don't see the kind of reaction that if I put myself in Gee's body, I'd be like. Like you seem unfazed, but then obviously, like if you don't want to talk about the racing, there must be things about it that you don't. I don't know. You must be like a.
Well, I think the racing taught me to be like, you know, take the nerves and the fear and the apprehension and like all that tension and self-doubt or like any kind of unease you have, and just like put it in a little bottle and then just be like, just shelve it. And then you can just carry on as normal and just function as you need to, like, you know, no matter how intense the environment or how intense the situation. And so I've tended to like take that technique that I've learned over years, and I do similar if I'm nervous about, you know, riding something dangerous or like a big line or a feature or, you know, something a bit risky. I'll be like, right, you know, take that nerves, take that fear, and just hide it away and get rid of it. And sometimes you need that, you know, sometimes that gets me in a bit of trouble and I end up doing something. Perhaps if I paid more attention to some of the nerves and the fear and stuff, I would have perhaps, you know, thought through a bit more.
Is that something that you learned from outside of doing it, if that makes sense? Like, where did that skill come from? Because that's unique, dude, to just be able to just park something.
Yeah, I don't
carry
know.
On.
It was just
It's like SAS stuff.
I think it was just like a necessity thing, to be honest.
Yeah. Wow.
Like I was at races, I get so frustrated when I would be like, I didn't race as well as I should have then because I was nervous or a bit apprehensive or distracted.
Yeah.
And when I raced for so long, you know, I learned that technique to kind of be able to take stuff like nerves or fear and just put it to one side. And then when you go to someone like Rampage, you know, you need to do the same there. You know, you spend a lot of time at Rampage, you know, like what the guys are hitting out there. You need to be able to take that, whatever you're nervous about, and just, you know, you can pay attention to it and process it, but you need to just, you know, put it to one side and not let it hold you up almost.
I think it's super interesting because we all know that all of the riders at racing World Cups, in the finals of World Cups, we know everyone's really good at biking, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone at Rampage is really good at biking. And I think like what you're talking about is almost the difference, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so. And the races, you know, the World Cup races, the guys that are doing well are the guys that have mastered that. You know, they can take that pressure and you know, all the hype that's around, and they can just put it to one side. And some riders can't do that. You know, there's some riders that are at the World Cups that are some of the best riders in the world, and they're just not reaching those podiums because race day comes and they're just tightening up a bit. You know, they're just, and it's brutal to see really, because, you know, sometimes the best bike rider isn't winning the race for that reason, you know.
Yeah, the whole good in practice.
Exactly, yeah.
Kinda.
Which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
You know, Rach has always been very good at that as well. She could be struggling through practice, you know, injured, a bit ill, like not feeling it, and then race day come and just like, you could almost see it like in the pits, like that switch in her mindset. She's like engaged, and you're like, oh, there she is, and like bang, wins by 11 seconds or something, and you're like, you were complaining about like an injury or feeling rough or not been into the track, and then, you know, she can pull that out. She had that ability to just, you know, switch on when she needed to.
You think it's something that can be taught?
I mean, I'm sure it is, yeah. I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Not by me.
It sounds like it.
I think you're a good example of someone who's very good at racing.
Well,
I mean, not
I think,
even talking about results, but just your approach.
I think I know what needs to happen, and, you know, I know what the techniques that I use to, and have like taken and can kind of direct to other parts of my life, but it's not easy to do, and I don't think you know, me telling somebody to do it probably isn't enough. You know, it's not enough for me to say, right, stand on the edge of this drop and just, you know, take those nerves and just get rid of them. And then they're not going to just go, are they? People
do you know where they go, by the way? Because I do wonder, like, people...
Very like deep down.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's like the thing that people are like, don't bottle up your emotions. That,
yeah,
you know,
I have been. I have been for years.
Works fine.
They're all going to come out one day. No, I've no idea. I mean, it's sometimes a useful skill to have, but other times maybe I do it too much, and, you know, that fear is there for a reason, right? Those nerves are there for a reason, and they're there to keep you, and they're there to keep you alive, basically, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, definitely.
You touched a bit on like how you took those skills that you learnt and took them to some of your video projects. What was your first? Maybe we can go through the video projects you've done, because they're some of the biggest things in mountain biking whenever they are released, and we've got one coming out in 2 weeks, so it's worth going through them, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
cool.
the first one we did was at home at the top of the bike park. That first Ridgeline.
Such a gangster move, owning a bike park and then putting a fuck off massive line above where people get off the uplift and they can just see it up there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, in all the wind and the rain, and you're like, there's Jesus.
But I started it, and it was like, I had no idea what we were doing. I just like wandered around up there. I was on my trials bike, and I was like, oh, this is so sick up here when it's nice weather. You know, it's just like this long, steep kind of run off the top of the moors there, big drop off down into this bowl on the left, and these kind of natural undulations. So we went up there and just started kind of digging a line, and it just kind of got bigger and bigger. And, you know, we started testing bits, and you were just getting faster and faster as you're going down this line, and the jumps were getting longer and longer. And I had no idea why I was doing it really, or like, how it would work, or what would be the kind of end goal. It was just cool to build something that was going to be so much fun to ride. And, I started filming it and started testing it, and some of it worked and some of it didn't, because like I kind of just rushed the build. It was a bit sketchy, like my builds always are a little bit. I start well and then they just get like rushed as I go through. Like,
is that what it is, rushiness?
I'm just like, right, I've been building this forever, let's just get it done. And the landings are a bit narrow and a bit sketchy and awkward little thin takeoff. And I was testing that line and I heaved for this big, it was like 70 foot, this gap. And I wasn't going quick enough. As I land, I case it. My handlebar snaps on the right hand side. I get like jackknifed off the landing and like thrown down the hill, and I just like ragdolled in a heap, land on like, I didn't go down that big drop off to the left, luckily.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was the first like filming project of this kind of style.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, that was awesome. Like, that was so much fun. I love doing it. Let's do another one straight away. So we rushed to like a month or so later start building another one, like the next valley over in this sketchy like rocky slate line somewhere in this old quarry.
Yeah.
It was like dicing with death. There was like cliff drops to the like meters off to the side of where I was riding, and they were like dropping down into the middle of this mountain, like hundreds and hundreds of feet. And it was a sketchy like the line was sketchy. The whole project was really sketchy, but we got through it and it worked fine. And then I started building the next project from there. And then whilst we were halfway through this next kind of ridgeline build, I found this other sketchy line, like the next valley over, that didn't really take a huge amount of building. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to get that banged out and film it like whenever the weather's okay next. And that was the line I got beat up on. That was the line that I had that huge crash on.
Right.
Again, just like rushing a build, threw it together. Right, I could probably ride that. Call the boys up. We're filming tomorrow. Get up there. Start working our way down this line. And I'd done pretty much the whole thing, but it was horrible. Like, you could tell as you were riding it, it was somewhere you didn't want to be on a bike, Like, I would test sections and have to have a couple of lads like at the bottom of the run out to catch me, because there was nowhere to go as you came out. So we started working our way down it. We started filming it, and then the last drop, as I landed off this kind of awkward rock kicker, I just cased the landing and it like threw me off to the left. And then, I'm sure you've seen the video. I just get catapulted down the hill and smash my way through all the rocks and shot myself to pieces.
There's loads to get into with this. Before that crash, obviously the iconic crash, I guess, you must have been on top of the world at that point, dude. You've just launched the bike brand, kind of coming out of COVID times. Bike industry's pretty buoyant, I think, at that point. Career's killing it. All this attention. Do you feel like you got not caught up in that, but like there was just this momentum that was happening and you were kind of just feeding off it? Is that fair to say? A
little bit, yeah. But that's kind of been the way my career's always gone. Like, just climbing, thinking you're invincible. You're just taking the momentum from the last thing you did and taking that to the next one. And, you survive one project and you're like, well, I was okay in that one. Why can't I push even harder in the next one?
Yeah.
And you just go harder and harder and harder, and then inevitably it catches up with you, which is exactly what happened there. We were just getting so into these projects, and they were all, I was getting through them by the skin of my teeth each time, and then I just pushed that little bit too far, and then I came unstuck.
What is it about them? Because like these things, you seem to be like really drawn to like crazy exposure, but then when you film, when I'm watching, I'm like, gee, slow down just a bit. Like, you're still going such pace down these horrific features. What is it? What exactly are you drawn to? Because it seems to keep happening. They're these like the things that we don't want to ride are being ridden.
Yeah, I would say it's just me, riding things and being drawn to things that I'm a little bit scared of, and I enjoy that like challenge of building and riding something where you know you have to be at your like 100% like max level to get through it, otherwise you're not gonna survive it, you know.
Yeah.
Like I don't like drifting into a project and be like, this should be chill, I'll be fine with this. Like I like turning up to something where I'm like, right, you know, you need to focus now, otherwise you're not going to survive this. Like it's cool when you turn up and you have to be like at your absolute best to get through something, really.
What about it is cool? Because I hear you, but like, what is it that is?
I think it's the challenge, you know, knowing that I can do it, but only if I like, you know, I'm fit, I'm strong, I've trained well, I've prepared well, I've planned it, you know, I've thought through every possible outcome, I've like looked into it in every detail, you know, I've gone over every scenario, you know I can get through it, but only if I'm doing well. Because then when you do get through it, you're like, that feeling of like achievement is incredible. Yeah. You know, you feel like you've done something well, and you feel like you have achieved something, and it is a probably, you know, a risky thing to get drawn towards, because you're just flying closer to that flame, you know, again and again and again. And as I was saying, you know, if you survive a few of them and you just get a bit blasé and start rushing things and feel a bit, you know, invincible, that's when the danger comes, you know.
Yeah. I don't think it's a quick build up. Like you must have, like I was trying to think, like this must have been going on before your World Cup career. This must be a theme in life. You don't just you know what I mean?
Yeah, possibly.
Are there any early examples of building lines like this that maybe other people wouldn't have seen? I guess, is Hardline an example, kind of?
Well, I think, you know, if you look at it on a broader scale, it's just what we've, you know, me and my brother, it's just what we've done all of our lives. Our entire childhood was just building stuff for our bikes, seeing how far we could jump off it, you know, if we survive it, if we could, you know, jump that far, let's make it a bit bigger, you know. I remember watching Athy just sprinting at jumps, you know, and the takeoffs here and the landings like way over there, and just sailing through the air, and we're like, yeah, he's not even close to making that, you know. But it would just be what was that was just in our mind, you know. That was just what we did. It was just,
it's fascinating.
It was just how we worked.
So you don't really know any difference. This is what it's been.
In a way, yeah, in a sense, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we ride because we love riding, and we enjoy the actual riding, but within that, there is that kind of that draw to challenging ourselves, and like you say, you know, it's kind of where Hardline came from. Build a track with as many difficult features on it all the way down, and that's the kind of way we've worked with these filming projects as well. Just push harder and harder.
Yeah. I mean, Dan as an older brother is quite a unique thing as well. Like in if I was just playing let's do dangerous challenges on our bicycles game with one person, Dan would be up there with the person that I would be most intimidated by. Like, he's got an intimidating level of bike skill, right?
Yeah.
And like growing up with that right there, obviously you have as well, but like Dan is like, I mean, to me, he's like Jedi levels of bike control.
Yeah.
That has to have contributed towards these kind of like...
I'd say so. Like, our childhood was just me trying to keep up with Athy.
Yeah.
And Athy is so good on a bike. You know, as you say, like, he's just got that natural skill. He can not ride for weeks and weeks and weeks and then just like come out and you can't keep up with him, or he's trying something wild. Like, he's just very talented, but also very comfortable riding very close to like the limit of what he can do, which is quite cool to see.
Yeah.
But that was always the way we would work, you know. Athy doing something wild, me trying to keep up.
Right.
And then just like me pushing him dragging me along. Both of us just like pushing and edging each other along further and further, and until we found that like, oh yeah, we shouldn't have done that. I wish we'd not tried that.
So it's pretty much just continued.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's just the kind of, I mean, I would like to say I'm probably a bit more, I think things through a little bit more now.
Yeah.
And I think those big crashes, you know, they forced me to, really, because the injuries were at a level where you're like, right, I don't want this to happen again, because they were heavy, you know.
So the knife it was the knife edge crash.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So what do you have recollection of it? Do you remember back to?
Yeah, I remember pretty much all of it. Yeah.
Is it horrible? Is it a horrible thing to think about? I mean, it's
No, not now. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
For like, I still don't watch the video. I couldn't talk about it for a while. I would always just kind of gloss over it and just kind of. But then I did talk about it, and from telling people about it and talking through what happened and stuff. I'm fine with it now, but yeah. And I remember all of it. I don't remember like the bit obviously when I was actually knocked unconscious, but I remember before, the lead up to it, the crash, and the aftermath as well.
Yeah.
which was pretty heinous.
Yeah. Pretty scary. Like I guess the list of injuries is quite insane to be left on a hillside, isn't it?
Yeah, the list. Yeah, it's a heavy list. I shattered my left femur. It was in like several pieces. It like blew through all the muscle and tissue on the side of my leg, and it like stopped just at the skin. Luckily, I shattered all my left ribs, punctured my lung. Left radius had come through the skin, which was pretty gnarly. That was just like smashed out of my forearm there. Shattered my eye socket, knocked myself out. I broke my nose. I was just bleeding from everywhere.
There's not really many, like, from the film, there's not really many shots, obviously, after the crash, but there's like one split second where it cuts and there's just blood everywhere, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably a reason that a lot of that isn't in the film, but like...
Well, I think the guys, and I feel so bad for them, and I still do, everyone on that hill with me, they were filming, and they were like, I don't think we probably should still be filming because, he might have just died. We don't want to film him slowly, like, drifting away here. And I don't think it was until they, like, saw that I was going to be okay that they actually kind of carried on filming bits, But it was a gnarly situation. Like, I was lay there, and it was quite steep where I stopped kind of rolling. And by the time they got to me, they had to kind of hold me because I was like slithering down the hill still. And every time I'd move, it'd be like messing everything up. So they'd be like trying to hold me still, and like someone had their like hand on the side of my chest there to try and keep me in place. And they said they could like feel my ribs like pushing in where they were trying to hold me. And like, I was like, guys, I can't breathe. You're gonna have to move your hand. It was like just crushing in on my lung. So it was a gnarly situation, and they were like, no one was ready for that kind of thing.
I was going to say, it's a lot for everyone in concert. As well.
Yeah, it was too much.
You got some big takeaways from it, like things that you learnt from it, I guess. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
What would you say that the biggest one?
Well, I know that I rush things if I like start to, get impatient. That's like often the number one kind of reason I come unstuck in those situations. Just wanting to get things done, just racing through stuff, not paying enough attention, getting a bit like blasé. It really made me realize I have to pay so much attention in those situations. When you're in that environment, when you're in those environments that are a bit more unforgiving, because you're not in a bike park or on a racetrack that's kind of built to be ridden on. You're in an environment that's just nothing to do with bikes, so you're just trying to ride a bike down it. So there's going to be stuff there that can, trip you up, and if it goes wrong, it can go wrong in a lot worse way than you're used to. And I learned that pretty quickly, Yeah,
I guess there's a lot of time after that to think.
Yeah,
mull things over.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
I was laying in the hospital in such a mess, just like looking at this like broken body, and I was like, I'm not riding anymore. I can't do it. Yeah, I can't do that anymore. I can't do that again. But I think it was a way of coping with like probably thinking I wouldn't be able to ride anymore,
Yeah, interesting.
It was a way of me probably being okay with, if I couldn't ride again, because that was the initial kind of prognosis. No more riding.
Yeah. Was the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
Mate, it's well interesting hearing how like seem super self-aware about all these things, like knowing that you're rushing, knowing even why you're thinking. It's super interesting, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
I do hear you on that, because you make something better by just being like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. Like, I'm trying to think of like a throwaway example, like no, I can't think of one on the spot, but I know exactly what you mean by.
Yeah.
Well, I know I'm really bad for like getting a bit impatient. I know I've got that ability to like, you know, take the nerves and the fear and that, you know, that anxiety we were just talking about, and just kind of put it to one side. So
yeah, how do you, sorry to interrupt you, but how do you decide when to listen to it?
Well, this is it.
And when to park it?
Yeah, this is it. If you just get into the mindset of, right, any fear or any nerves I experience, just get rid of, you know, just that, you know, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
You're just having to make this logical decision, like, is this okay or not? You need to listen to that fear and those nerves, and, you know, that's something else I've learned. Try and pay a bit more attention to, you know, what is going on, what I am feeling and experiencing. You know, you have to process it a bit first before you kind of get rid of it, perhaps.
Have you ever done something? I've definitely done this, where I've done it and then I've thought, that was so unbelievably dangerous. There was no point in that. The danger was like, that was a stupid decision, but still I ended up okay. Like, that's where it makes it very confusing. I've had a few of those where I've just thought, that was really not smart danger.
Yeah. Well, it's probably the same thing. You just, you know, just ignoring those voices that, and it is hard, isn't it? Because you always feel nerves and you always feel a bit of apprehension about stuff. And if you listen to every time, you know, your mind was like, don't do this, you would never do anything, you know, you'd never leave the house.
No.
So somewhere there's a sweet spot between getting rid of everything that you're feeling and listening to everything. You know, you have to find that middle ground where, you know, you're paying enough attention to be able to stay safe, but you're still being able to take those risks and push yourself, you know, the way you always have done. And
I mean, honestly, it's
find
the
that
same
middle
for any
ground.
sport, isn't it? Because like, you couldn't get good at tennis if you were, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You literally couldn't get good at like a sport that isn't like dangerous, like mountain biking.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even be able to get good at that if you didn't, I guess, push. But it's also very different. But it's amazing that you've made a career out of it, isn't it? It's like you're obviously good at it, you know, like when you talk about it, like knowing all of these mistakes you've made, you've also done it hundreds of times and not. So
yeah, well, that's something I've learned, and I try to learn from, you know, everything I do, whether it's a crash and it's all gone wrong or whether it's successful. I've just tried to like process it a bit, you know, look at why it worked, why it didn't work. I try to be, you know, and I'm sure sometimes this doesn't come across, but I try and be quite calculated and try to think these things through as much as I can and take some of the risk out of it.
Yeah.
Well, you've gone on to do more projects since that. You obviously, and obviously you've applied it and they've been successful projects, right?
Yeah. And I think that's probably, in a weird way, what has allowed me to kind of step the projects up to a bit of a newer level with them. You know, that crash taught me to be a bit more calculated and taught me to be a bit more, you know, to think, right, things can go wrong. You know, you're not just in this kind of super safe environment. It taught me to be a bit more self-aware and to try and pay attention to what was going on a bit more. And, you know, whilst that crash was bad, I was fine. You know, I've got through it and I'm absolutely fine from it now. But some of these places we go for the filming projects, if you had a crash of that, you know, that level, you wouldn't be okay. You would come unstuck. So,
yeah,
you know, I think being in those environments now and being a bit more, you know, cautious and paying a bit more attention is probably a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, what was where were you when you were stuck in a storm? I heard about this from a number of your crew, that it was like, and this is danger. We're not even talking about the actual riding of the line or anything. We're talking literally just about being in some of these locations. Where was
probably the Dolomites, probably in Italy.
Yeah, it was the Dolomites,
which was the first project we did after this kind of, after the big crash.
And why the Dolomites?
Yeah, I basically survived this enormous crash, and
Yeah.
we were like, right, let's step this up a level and go somewhere even more risky.
Yeah, let's find even spikier ridges.
Yeah, let's go somewhere even worse. No, I think I was just. It was a weird coping mechanism of like having all this time off, you know, whilst I was injured and stuck at home and like limping around, and you know, I was just such a mess when I was at home. I was like, my way of dealing with it was like, right, let's plan a wicked project for when I can ride again.
Yeah.
And we were looking at cool places to go, and you know, this was our first kind of foray into a bit of a big mountain adventure, you know, that was out of that safety of being at home in Wales where you know what's going on. Suddenly we were in an environment where we were a bit out of our depth.
Yeah, you're encountering a different danger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were fairly green to it, you know. We were like we did a scouting trip out there, and we got out there, you know, it was, I don't know what time of year, maybe June. We thought it was midsummer, but it wasn't. There was still like snow everywhere.
Right.
So it's like me and Moonhead and my friend Cogsy just wandering round these mountains in the Dolomites. You know, Moonhead had like trainers on, not really hiking boots. I think I had some hiking boots, and I seemed like the well-equipped one. We had nothing else with us, and we'd be hiking these like paths and trails, and we just get to sections that were like snow and ice, and it would be like a steep gully just packed with snow, and we'd be like scrambling across it like in just our like trainers and boots and stuff, no ropes anywhere, no like ice picks or anything. And then we'd get home after that trip and be telling people about it. And, you know, Brody Hood I was talking about, he'd be like, yeah, we pull like loads of bodies out of those type of places each year. Like, they're super dangerous. Like, you guys are idiots.
Yeah, do you know what? It's funny. 'Cause it's like the equivalent of someone like riding your bike park with no helmet on, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
You're
Yeah.
like just
Yeah.
strolling around up there, just
Yeah.
in a t-shirt, like.
This is cool. What we doing? So yeah, we kind of realized then, like, right, if we are going to do something here, we need to be, you know, we need people with us that are a bit more knowledgeable than we were, and we need equipment that's going to, you know, keep us safe and keep us in one piece. So when we went back to do the filming there, we were a lot better. We were a bit more well equipped, and, you know, had people with us, you know, like Brody Hood, who was, you know, used to being in the mountains and could say, that's a big cliff, don't go off there, that will kill you. Which is just what we needed, really.
We're going to take a quick break. Is that okay? I need
Yeah.
a wee so bad.
Let's go to a break.
Quick break.
Yeah.
Let's
Hold
do
on.
it.
Welcome to the ad break. Dude, I've got something I need to discuss with you.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a sad day. I think the green van has run its course.
Oh no, are you looking for a car?
Look, I need to get out there, ride my bike in different parts of the country.
You're quite stuck here, aren't you, in the green van?
I'm getting a new car, and look, I don't know if you agree, when you're buying a new car, it becomes really all encompassing. It's all that you think about.
Yes.
You're on Facebook Marketplace, you're searching.
Yeah.
I get so many scam ones. I'm talking to people. Is this still available? No, it went last week. I've just left the ad up. It's a nightmare.
So annoying.
I need a way of making it easier.
I think I have one. Let me give my dad, car dealer.
Hey, great point.
Let's give
Is
him a
this
quick.
an ad for your dad?
Yeah. Well, let's
Okay,
try it.
let's give him a call. Okay.
Hi, Dad. You all right?
Yes, I'm fine, pal. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you, mate. I'm just with Ollie.
Oh, yes.
He's looking for a new car. We just wondered if you've got anything in stock that might suit him.
Well, I'll tell you what's just come in, Dave.
Yeah.
In part exchange, a really nice 15-plate Mondeo estate car.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, it's really nice, really clean.
Low mileage?
No.
Okay. What we
That's the
talking?
It's done nearly 200,000.
Okay. That's quite low, to be honest, for you.
So it's £2,000.
£2,000.
Yeah.
£2,000. Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah,
That is,
yeah.
is there out else? Is there out else on forecourt?
A little Igo. That was nice.
Igo.
It's only a little lad, isn't it?
Yeah, he is a
So-
little one.
Yeah.
What year's that on?
Little Igo is a 57 plate.
Quite new.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is for me.
Yeah, it's very new. High mileage?
£20 a year road tax.
Not bad.
70,000 mile.
Okay. All right, this
He's
is
a
a
good
bargain, I think. This is a good one.
Yeah. So, it's interesting, that one. That's nice.
All right, okay. All right, well, I'll pitch these to him now, and we'll come back to you.
You back to me. Okay.
All right, pal.
Thank you.
See you, mate.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Mondeo or an Igo with
Yeah.
quite a lot of miles between them.
Yeah. There's got to be a better way, and I think we found the better way.
They're options, at least.
There are options. They're fallbacks.
Yeah.
How about car gurus? All right,
David, what's car gurus?
Car gurus, mate. Basically, car gurus puts you in the driver's seat with complete car specs, owner history, price change information, and dealer reviews, so you can feel confident getting a great deal. Now,
Wow.
we have actually used this recently. My partner just got a new car, and we use car gurus because it comes up. It's really nice. It comes up, and where it says the price, it says like good, fair, high, low, and it kind of like rates them.
So you don't have to endlessly research and learn an entire
I've seen that
model
spreadsheet
range.
you've
and-
got.
Yeah, I have. I have. I don't need that.
No, you can just use car gurus, all right? So you can get access to hundreds of thousands of cars from top-rated dealers, so you can find the best deal. Car gurus also gives you the control to search, buy, and sell. Green van on there, all in one place.
Hey, I can do that there as well.
Get it on there.
Do you know where I think car gurus, what you've explained to me in this, where I think it's really, really good is the fact that you can like learn about each model, because quite often you're like, you'll know you want a shape of car, and then they do it in a diesel, petrol, they do this.
Yes.
And it's got all the mile per gallon, it's got all of
you
the
can compare
relevant
different
information.
ones.
Exactly.
It's really good, honestly. So if our listeners would like to join millions of people who have found their best deal with car gurus.
Where do they go, dude? Where do they
Mate,
go?
I'm going to tell you. They're going to go to cargurus.co.uk for complete vehicle details without any surprises. That's CARGURE. I spelled it wrong. and it's written down. We're going to try again. Get ready. Everyone say it along with me. cargurus.co.uk.
Cargurus.co.uk.
Okay, search, buy, sell, sorted.
Hey, I'm actually really hyped on this as a sponsor, because I am actually genuinely, this wasn't just like our normal ad prompt.
No.
This is actually, I
actually
am
real
searching
life.
for a car, and it is really useful to
And
be
we
able to compare
actually just used it to get one.
them. Yeah, how good is that?
The dream.
Thanks, Car Gurus.
Thanks, Car Gurus. All right, great break. One of the best, once again. I was going to ask you, you mentioned something at the start when we started talking about the first Ridgeline project, about going up and scouting it. How has that changed over these projects with who you can bring in? Because there's not many people who will go up with you and go, yeah, looks all right, that mate. Yeah, it's a good idea, this. So how do you build the team to allow you to do these projects? And be creative?
That's a very good question, actually.
Thank you.
And I think there's two dangers to it. There's a danger of having someone along that's a bit too negative and a bit like, they just say no to almost everything, and it kind of brings that, like, kills your buzz a little bit.
Yeah.
But then also the danger of having someone that's like
An enabler.
a bit of a yes man along. Yeah. Which is also a danger.
Dude, like, there is no more turbocharged example of that than Rampage.
Yeah.
I would feel like I honestly,
Yeah, you've had a lot of examples.
mate.
as
Sometimes,
well.
like, someone will ask you. It doesn't even have to be like the person you're digging for. It can be someone else. Someone will ask you a question. You're just like, I like literally pause like that.
Yeah.
Because you can say,
Don't say the wrong thing here.
yeah, and the wrong thing can go either way. They can be like, oh, I'll ask Ollie. He's like a squid. He won't. If he'd do it, then I'll definitely do it. Or it can go the other way. It can be like,
But I
dunno.
think this is why you're such a good man to have with you at Rampage, because you're that great mix of like bloody good rider, knows how to build well, but also, you've got that kind of ability to look into enough detail to like say, actually, that isn't probably going to work, or that doesn't look like it's going to come together.
That's very kind to say, but I've had
was
moments
nice.
where I know I've said the wrong thing. Like, I know I have, because Bren will do it. Bren
Bren's
will,
still here,
test
though.
it. Like, he'll be like, right, it tends to be like 3 runs. That's how stupid we've been growing up, you don't do more than 3 runs. That's dangerous. But like, be second run and there'll just be a last minute check. And I know on those last minute checks, all he needs is positivity. And sometimes I can't give it because I'm like, I actually don't know. We've done everything we can. We've made it as safe as physically possible. And I've listened back to some GoPros and he's like, it's on, isn't it? And all he needs is a yes.
Yeah.
But then for me, that's too much of a big... I'm probably way too much of an overthinker. Probably the ideal person is more... I'd say Brody's probably a good...
Yeah. It's taken a little bit of time, but we've put together this small crew, this small unit that work really well together. You know, like my brother is a great person to have along because he's a really good, like, I know him really well. You know, I know if he says, you know, the speed on that's wrong or the gap doesn't look right or that land, like he knows, you know, that stuff better than anyone. And
he's not scared to tell you it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if it is gnarly, but he thinks it's honey, he'll be like, yeah, you know, just do it. You're going to do this. But, you know, he's not going to come on these big mountain projects because he would have to leave Mac. He would have to leave Dovey.
He's got a big mountain project of his own, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got his own project on there. So we've put together this little unit, this little team of guys, of this little crew, and they work, you know, so well together. Because we're always in quite gnarly environments, a bit bleak, you know, you're tired, you're a bit knackered, you're probably going to spend the night sleeping somewhere that's pretty average. And if you don't have someone that's, you know, going to stay, you know, pretty buoyant and positive in those times, you know, they become a bit of a drag to hang out with after a few weeks in that environment.
Yeah.
And then added to that, you know, once you're exhausted and knackered or, you know, somewhere too hot or cold, and then you suddenly having to ride something that's actually quite tricky, you know, suddenly you're having to go from just being in this kind of mountain survival, just get through it, slog through it type scenario to like a performance scenario where you're having to be like alert and sharp and like wide awake and not tired from that 3-hour climb up, or not tired from like, you know, the 2 weeks of filming you've already done. You've got to be like ready to go, and the team around you is so important then.
Yeah.
You know, like you were just saying, sometimes you just need someone that's a bit positive and just a bit like, yeah, this is good.
I think also it like becomes clear when you've got a drone chasing you down a spire, but it's actually quite a lonely endeavour. If this was truly George climbing up to the top of the hill and just going riding, it's a very lonely, weird ride, isn't it? Whereas when you've got the right people around you, it makes it like we're all up here, we're all doing it together, and I feel like it probably like it's almost about like hiding the danger at that point.
A little bit. And I know that like because I know them well, and I know that if I ask them something and they respond in a certain way, you know, that's kind of the response I was expecting. Or, you know, I know if certain boys on the team are saying this is dangerous, this is too much, that, you know, I'll use it to sense check what I'm thinking, you know. For example, we were in Switzerland last year and we'd hiked to the top of this mountain, and it didn't work out how we expected to get to the peak to film like this beautiful, you know, evening sunlight shot. We couldn't get to like the summit. We reached this like cliff on the backside, and I was just like, we've been climbing all day, we need to get up there, now, we'll just climb it. And then Brody was like, you know what, if we do, someone could die here, this is pretty gnarly, we don't have any equipment, this is too dangerous. And when Brody was saying that to me, I was like, oh shit, I need to pay attention here.
So it takes a Brody, really, doesn't it? Like if I'd said it, you'd have been like, shut up. Really though, for real though, right?
You would have said it would be fine.
Which would have also been the wrong answer.
Probably. No, but you need people you know well, and you know them like, you know, if they're saying no to something and they're telling you not to do something, then you need to listen to them, because, you know, these are guys that are used to being in dangerous environments and they're used to taking risks themselves, you know. Yeah. And if they're suddenly like, gee, you've been an idiot, you're rushing into this, you know, someone's going to get really hurt again here, let's not do it, then it will like cut through my like, you know, red mist of just get on with it type.
The
scenario.
mountain needs to be conquered. It needs to be climbed.
Think of the likes, Brody.
Yeah, think of that shot, because I do get into that, and I need someone just to like cut through that and be like, you know, slap, bang, yeah, you've been an idiot. Don't take that risk.
Have you had much mountaineering? Because this is kind of mountaineering we're talking about now, like big mountaineering stuff. Before these projects, or is this all new to you in a weird way as well? I know it's kind of hard because you've always been in the mountains riding bikes, but this is like mountains, like wilderness mountains.
Yeah, and I haven't had much experience of that.
Yeah.
Like you say, I've always been in the mountains, but I guess I've been in the safe zone.
Yeah, which mountains are we talking?
Well, when you're below like where the chairlift drops you off, you know, there's only so much like danger involved, you know.
It's true.
There's only so much you can come unstuck, really.
It's not wilderness, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying, you know, when I started the projects where you were suddenly in a zone above that, you're like, one thing could happen and it would just snuff you out, you know. You don't always get the warning shots that you're used to, you know, or, you know, when you have those sketchy moments and you're like, shit, I need to like be careful here.
Like a reality
You know,
check.
you don't always get those, you know. It can go from being fine to like absolutely came over and, you know, in a heartbeat. And when you're in that environment, you have to ride slightly differently and think slightly differently and pay a bit more attention, really.
That's interesting to think that you have like a sketchy moment, you know, below chairlift. You can see the pits, you can see the bike park.
Yeah.
But then when you're out, it's nothing. It's just
Yeah.
Totally. Well, we had Dan Milner on.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I go riding around here, I don't have a bottle. I literally don't even bring drink with me. I don't have a pump. I don't have even a tool. I don't care because you can just walk home.
Just one tool.
Even limp home. Like, yeah.
Low blow.
That's so true,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's like different levels to everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But for me, that was a massive learning curve. But the guys like on the crew as well, you know, like Moonhead turning up in like his baggy jeans and his trainers and a hoodie, and I'm like, mate, we're going to like 4,000 or 5,000 meters. It's going to be like -8 up there in a snowstorm. He's like, is it? I was like, well, what have you got for your lunch? And he's like, well, we can buy something. I'm like, no.
It's a gift shop at top.
Yeah. Like, wake up. And he came round to it, you know, he sharpened up.
Yeah.
Reluctantly.
Yeah, like very few things have to go wrong as well.
Yeah.
Like a storm and a twisted ankle can be the two things that, like, it doesn't have to be that dramatic. It can be a storm and a twisted ankle that ends all of you.
Yeah.
When you're all that way away, isn't it? It's crazy to think.
Yeah. And then when we went to Kazakhstan, you're like, we were driving and you're just like going so far into like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And like the places that you'd go through, tiny little villages of like, you know, huts, no shops, nowhere to like get anything. And then you get to the point where you're riding, you're like thinking back through the journey, like, where would I have to go back to if I got hurt?
Yeah.
And it's like so far, or like from where you are, and like it would be like multiple days before I could like. And then I was thinking of some of the injuries that I'd had, and I'd be like, how would it be just like sitting with that injury for like a day and a half in the back of a pickup or a 4x4?
Yeah.
Until you got to someone that could like look after you.
So there's two ways of looking at it almost. It's almost like you can look at people that do these things as daredevils or almost like experts on risk, because that's not what you when you watch you go down one of those tunnels, you're not thinking, oh geez, thought about how far it's going to be if he shatters his femur again. But you have. That's literally one of the things that you have.
I have, yeah. And like so much as well. And like that was one of the things after, you know, the injuries and the crashes that was quite tricky to get back to the riding, because I was willing, you know, I was like, I'm happy to just throw myself back into this. Like, I know injuries happen. I know that's part of the game. But then a bit of my mind was like, we're not okay with this. It was like almost like, it was like a dual personality, I guess. Part of me was like, we haven't agreed to this. My brain wasn't like as willing, you know, and I'd be there like about to drop in or test something. And a bit of my brain's like, ooh, imagine sitting with a broken femur for 2 days in the back of a pickup.
Mate.
And I'm like, oh, why is all this in my head? Like, I don't want that to be in there, but it is, you know? Yeah. But I buried that. But it is
harder
in
to
there,
park
like,
it now? To park those emotions after.
no, I still can, but there's
Okay.
there's just, you know, every
Yeah.
crash, every injury, you don't just kind of recover and get back to where you were. It always leaves that mark, you know, it always leaves that kind of imprint because, you know, you're not an idiot. You can't just forget stuff.
It's like information, though, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
it's just information, isn't it? So it's like before having that horrible crash, you didn't even know that horrible crash is almost. You actually don't know it's possible. You don't even
yeah.
know that you can be that
No, for sure.
banged up and still just be like,
And it's a bit like somebody telling you not to think about that thing, you know,
yeah,
like when you're about to, you know, you're in the worst time for it. You're on top of a mountain, the drone's up, the cameras are turned on, they've given you the thumbs up to drop in, and you're like, oh yeah, don't get nervous now and start thinking about injuries. And then bang, like there it is, and you're like, oh, for God's sake, like. And then you have to go through that whole like process of just like dealing with it and making sure you're okay, and it just pops up at like the worst times. And that took a long time after I'd had those injuries to like learn how to not get kind of hijacked by it, you know.
It's funny because before we started recording, I wrote down on our notes PTSD. And I was like, why have you wrote that down? And I was like, I just think there's going to be
Sensed it.
something in there just to talk about, like what if there is lingering feelings and emotions and stuff like that. And it's that this is literally what you talk about, I think.
Well, it probably is, yeah. And it, you know, it is probably what people experience when they have that, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just something you have to learn to deal with
Work
or
through.
learn to process. And I quickly learned that like it wasn't enough just hoping that it wouldn't be there, that you'd have to, you know, deal with it and face it and process it. Otherwise, you know, it would be a hindrance to you, you know. So I had to make sure that I could still, and the first time, you know, I went filming and pushed myself into, you know, a project or hardline or testing a feature after those crashes, I was like, I wonder if I will be able to, you know, just process it as normal and deal with it and hide it away.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if I would be able to, because, you know, suddenly you've just got a lot more to deal with and a lot more to process, and it's a lot bigger to try and like bury away, but I still could.
Yeah. Mate, it's so interesting.
yeah, but it's you know, when you talk about it, it's like it's a condition, but it's also just information, isn't it? It's all just things that you've experienced, and that you obviously you always like everything you do is based on what you've experienced in your life, whether it's like a card payment at a shop, you know.
Yeah.
You're only basing on what you need to do on what's happened before.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
like if all of this stuff's happened before, then undoubtedly it does come into play.
Well, I think that's the way I've always dealt with fear. I've always tried to just like, you know, be very black and white with it, just treat it as like information, like you say, you know, break it down, like, why are you nervous? Why are you scared? What are you scared of? Is that like an irrational fear, or is that an actual fear that you need to like just try and turn it into like information that you can just break down and process, and then it helps you just kind of shelve it a little bit, which I think is probably the way I deal with it and process it.
Like, it sounds like it, because if you're talking about like I always find it really interesting at Rampage again, because it is this like pressure cooker of these things.
Yeah.
It's like talking about crashes. So it's like when you're testing a feature, I think anyone that tests a feature is like, right, if I overshoot it, what happens? What's worst case if I undershoot it and then bounce? What happens if I go offline? What happens? So you've got all of these like imaginary horrible crashes,
Yeah.
and the outcomes in your head.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's actually
absolutely.
quite dark when you think about it. I'm by no means an expert at it, but I actually don't feel like it is dark. For me, it's just information.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to look at it, really.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, you know, you end up trying to not think about things, or you don't, you know, properly think something through, or, you know, you've not thought of every outcome. You know, I'll look, like you say, like, right, if I crash there and go down there, you know, what's going to happen if I crash here? Am I going to hurt myself? Well, probably not. It'll be a crash, but I should be okay. And then I'll break it down even more and be like, if I go down there, crash there, that might be an injury, but is it going to be a bad injury? Probably not. It's probably going to be something we can deal with. Or you're like, if that happens and I go this way, that's worst case scenario, and you know, this isn't a risk worth taking.
Like if we're talking about like me going off the information I have from different crashes I've had, and then you going off it after even just these, like, you know, this Ridgeline crash, it's like you've actually got way more information. You know what I mean? No, like you actually do have way more of an outlook, and especially when it comes to kind of crashing in a difficult place or something, you've then got an extra level of like reference material, should we call it?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes good in the sense of like, you know, like more information is better, you know. I guess you've got more to think through, and then sometimes it's a bit of a pain, it's a bit of a hindrance, but I try and look at it just like that, you know, just try and take something from it, try and learn from it, and then it becomes a bit, at least it's useful then. At least, you know, something has come from it.
Yeah. Mate, it's fascinating. So we've spoke about loads of different film projects. The one you've got coming out, what is it? Describe it. Let's give us an elevator pitch of what people are going to see.
Yeah, it's almost a sneak peek.
Early
isn't it?
November, mid-November?
Mid-November, yeah.
Mid-November.
So pretty soon.
Pretty soon from when this episode goes
It's
out.
basically a building project with a little bit of riding at the end of the summer to,
Right,
to
okay.
finish it off. But it didn't start like that, you know. Basically, early this year in the winter, massive storm rolls in, you know, the biggest storm we've had in the UK in a long time, sweeps through where we live, and a whole section of forest just gets torn down, like overnight, like flattened. And it looks like, you know, someone's just come in and just scythed it down, huge trees. And we'd never seen anything like it, you know, all this timber just smashed to the ground. And it looks like there's been a natural disaster there. It looks like a tsunami or something's come through.
Okay.
And I kept going back to it and walking around it and looking at it. And I was like, it was like mind blowing to see like the amount of damage that had happened. And the more time I spent in there looking around it, I was like, there must be something we can do with it. And then I was like, that would be sick to like gap off there and land over there. Or like that tree, the way it's landed is like almost a perfect takeoff to like gap onto that one over there. And so I were like dusted off the chainsaw, like threw some chainsaw pants on, went up there thinking I'd do a few days building, you know, back in March or April time.
Right.
Cut to like September this year, and I'm still there, like building this line.
Really?
And I had no idea how much work it would be. Like, I had no idea how much time it would take. I just got drawn into this like never ending like chainsaw wood tree felling build, and it's all like super sketchy environment. Like all the wind fell trees are like, when they fall down, they're like bent down and under pressure, and if you're soaring through them, they like ping upright again. And it's a super dangerous environment to be in. Like, it was quite a sketchy kind of project to take on, but it was a sick project, and we, you know, we spent all year building it and creating this line out of all this smashed up broken timber, and we managed to film it all and chop it all together, and it was kind of like nothing else I've ever done before. It was kind of quite a cool project, really.
God, it's
Right.
wicked to hear about it and not have any.
Yeah.
Like, I can picture it a bit, and I can picture how horrible you've built some stuff, but I can't quite picture it almost, you know?
I wish I had something to show you. I should have brought a little video.
Yeah. So it's all tangled up, and
Yeah.
are there some big hits in it that you were nervous for?
Yeah, there were some big hits, and the way we built it all, as I was like working on it, I came up with this like order of how I would test it, starting with the easiest stuff, because I didn't know if any of it would work, and I couldn't test any of it until like the very end.
Right.
You couldn't really test it as you went along because it all kind of linked together, and so I was like making it all with no idea, you know, some of the gaps were too big and some bits we had to redo. But once we started testing it, it all kind of worked, and we just worked our way up, you know, the easiest stuff at the start and then getting gnarlier and gnarlier. And at the end, like the last thing to hit was like this sketchy, like there was like 3 fallen trees with like narrow wood across the top and then gaps between them, and then it had like this huge gap off the end down to this awkward, short, sketchy landing with like 50 meters of run out and then just a drop. So there was like climbing ropes across trees and like to try and stop me on the run out, but it all worked. It was really cool, and it's a sick project. I'm quite excited for everyone to see it because it's very different to what I've done before, you know.
Okay.
It's not on a ridge, but it's still not nice if you crash either side, right?
I would prefer it to be on a ridge. It was such an unpleasant environment. Even the build, I've never had so many injuries from a build. Like,
Oh, really?
to say like your blood is in like a build, this like really was just sharp, smashed up trees that were like half snapped and all like splintery and gnarly. And for the filming project, I didn't do it in the end, but I'd found one online. I was going to buy. My old coach sent it to me and said like that was a good one to buy, a stab vest to ride in, like a bulletproof like stab vest, because my greatest fear was coming off one of the narrow wooden lines, because it was just like spiky timber everywhere, and if you came offline it would just be like I didn't want to get spiked. I didn't want to get stabbed, you know.
Getting stuck in the air.
Yeah, skewered there.
Horrible.
Someone having
skewered.
to. Oh, that's what I was worried about.
Being taken off the skewer is the. Oh no!
But it was all so
new
sharp. Yeah, it was
great
horrific. And a lot of it is narrow. Yeah.
Stab vest.
And I was like, a stab vest. If I ride in a stab vest, like my neck's still going to be exposed. And then I was like, I went down like a. So I didn't in the end. I just was like normal body armor.
Park it. Keep going.
I was like, this is one of those times you just can't crash. That's just the way it is. Just don't fall off here.
They're the rules.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
I really can't wait to see
Yeah, I'm
it.
looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, it's cool.
There'll be a link in the show description once this is out. The film's out.
Absolutely.
We'll make sure it's in there so people can watch it if you
Yeah.
don't already. Amazing.
Where's it going to be? Quickly.
Oh yeah, good
Actually,
point.
just
On my YouTube, on the
On your
Athy
YouTube?
on the Athy YouTube, yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Well done. Get that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Keep on it in.
Right, switch gears a bit. Let's talk about Atherton Bikes, man. Like this again, so many things to talk about. I wrote down here the first conversation you guys had about starting a bike brand. Do you remember it? How did it go? Whose idea? Because it's a cool thing, man. Super unique again. But yeah, can you recount that first?
Yeah, I really can. Like
Yeah.
it had been a conversation that we'd had so many times, and like, you know, it was something that me and Athy and Dan Brown would always talk about, always discuss, like always, you know, we'd come up with the idea and it would have a different spin, or like, you know, we'd have a different idea for it and then it would disappear again and then it would pop back up, and it never was a serious idea because, you know, we were always racing, there was never time. And then suddenly we were like talking with some friends and they'd kind of done something similar, you know, done a bit of 3D printing and a bit of bonding to create these frames. And then suddenly like this idea that had always just been a bit of a far-flung kind of, you know, behind the sky idea suddenly was like close enough for us to be like, wow, we could actually do this, you know, this could actually be a real thing.
Yeah.
And Athy has so many ridiculous ideas, so many like huge ideas. And I'm just like, yeah, we could do that, but we won't because that's a ridiculous idea. You know, the bike park was kind of similar. You know, the time when he was like, oh, we should buy this forest and start a bike park. I was like, just no. And then the bike company was like, kind of that, you know.
Really?
A little bit, like us having the idea and having the discussion and then me being like, well, yeah, but I don't think we'll do it. And then it just suddenly, it kind of just gained enough momentum to suddenly be, you know, within reach. And there was very much a point where we were like, right, we need to decide today, like we had to give a decision to go this way or a decision to go this way. You know, there was a real commitment, like literally like mega phone call and stick to it. And it was like literally like a fork in the road. And I remember like that very moment. And we went for the bike company idea because it kind of had fitted with what we'd always tried to do things slightly, you know, like with the race team, trying to do it ourselves and try and not just kind of do it the way people always have done. you know, it was a similar idea with the bike company. Try and do something that's a bit different, you know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think's mega cool about it is that from the outside you might be like, oh, well, it's an obvious idea. Obviously, the Atherton should set up a bike company, like, but it's almost harder for you guys to set up a bike company in some ways. In a lot of ways, not. You're obviously a marketing powerhouse, but like in some ways, you've got a list of big bike brands that are ready to just keep it rolling. There's risk always, but there's no, you know, you've got everyone's interested in investing in you, and then for you to actually like kind of like put your head out the water and be like, we can actually do it for ourselves, I think is like a it's actually more of a move than I think people probably realise.
Yeah,
I think so. And it was, you know, the two questions we had were, could we do it and do it well, you know, not just, you know, something we wouldn't be happy with. And
there you go. Again, that's another thing that I hadn't even thought of. You could sign for a bike brand for a year and be like, the bikes weren't good, so our results have stopped.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is putting it all in, isn't it?
And do it slightly differently. We didn't just want to recreate something that had been done 100 times. You know, we wanted to try and do it in a slightly different way, a slightly unique way, but still do it well, you know, and do it in a way that you'd be proud of and pleased to show people, and create something that we would want to use ourselves, you know, because you know, there was no way we were going to do it if it was just a case of slapping a logo on something that was going to, you know, be a bit half-hearted attempt at it. You know, it would be there for a couple of years and then just drift away. You know, that was never, and it made it a lot harder. You know, it made it a lot more difficult to do that way around, because we had to make sure what we were doing was you know, going to work. And if we'd had the luxury of 3 or 4 years to be able to, you know, test something, it would have been nice, but we didn't have that, you know.
Okay. Yeah, like you said there, and I think to Ollie's point, there's so many elements of this which you could have taken the easier route, you know, not the right route, but easier. You could have not put your family name on it. You could have just bought a catalogue bike and just chucked whatever on it and still probably been relatively successful with it to some extent, but it wouldn't have had any longevity. So yeah, the fact that again you put your family name on it, dude, it's like so gnarly.
Yeah, and it was hard to do that, you know, and it still is. Like, it's still, I think we've been running for, you know, 5, almost 6 years now.
Yeah.
But it still feels like we're in that like very new startup, like scrabbling every day to like make it work, like just trying to like hustle this thing along, and like it's sick. Like, it blows my mind that like it is working and like what we can create. And sometimes I'm at the bike park and people will turn up with one they've bought, and I'm like, you know, it's still mad to see them in like the wild or just out in a different environment.
In your bike park. So insane, isn't it?
But it's something that like we've put so much effort into, and so much of our like time and, you know, blood, sweat and tears into, that you are proud of it, you know. And the bikes that work well, and that was something we were always very aware of, you know, using the right materials in the right places. Like, you know, the bikes are all bonded, but, you know, that's not kind of what we're about. You know, that lug and tube technology isn't what we're solely focused on. It's just because that allows us to use the, you know, the right products for the right materials in the right places, you know. It allows the aluminium bike to be, you know, it allows us to use that 7000 series aluminium, which is like so strong, so durable. You know, the bikes are super tough. And then the carbon fiber and titanium, that allows us to use two materials that work well together, you know, very strong, very light, and was going to be good enough for a World Cup bike, which is also what we needed.
Yeah.
So you spent years in the bike industry learning all of these different parts of bike development, I guess, on World Cup teams. Is there anything that like stands out from now doing it for yourself?
Yes, you know, that constant balance of, from a rider wanting to just produce that best, strongest, most incredible bike and just like make sure everyone's on that, versus when you're sat in an office and someone's reading you numbers back and telling you why, like, if we change that slightly, it'll have this impact, and if like, and the kind of the details of that side, you know, which is which is a mental environment to be in. You know, sometimes, for example, this summer I'd be like in the forest, chainsaw trousers, bleeding from like cutting through some tree stump, covered in chainsaw dust. Get a call, have to dash down to Athy Bikes, like sit there in an office, in a meeting, still in my chainsaw trousers, like blood dripping down me somewhere, talking through some like major problem that we're having with something, and then like back into the forest later on that day. But I guess it's that constant balance between like wanting to just create a wicked bike that can do everything, take everything, be the strongest bike in the world, to like the details that actually make that possible, and the details that, you know, making a bike that you can sell to people a viable thing to do.
Yeah. What is your like day-to-day operation within Atherton Bikes then? Does it change? Do you have
it changes.
Fixed role each of you, or what?
No, it's not. You know, it's not like we're in the office and you know that we've got an amazing team, and the guys that are there are
G from Warranty.
Yeah. Can you imagine how bad I would be?
Yeah. You can see the chainsaw turn off as well. Like.
Yeah.
Down on the forklift.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get back to you. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're very aware that our talents aren't, you know, sitting in an office and, you know, doing that kind of stuff. We're very bad at a lot of that, but you know, we try and do what we're good at, and that is, you know, creating bikes and putting them through their paces, and building bikes that we would have wanted to ridden at different points of our careers, you know. But the bike company's incredible. Like it still blows my mind how much support we've had, and like how much people are into it, you know, and how knowledgeable people are.
Oh, yeah. Do you wish you'd done it earlier?
In a sense that like it would have been sick to be in this position and have had, you know, it there 20 years ago, but there's no way we could have, you know, there's no way we could have done it at a different point in our career. Partly through, you know, the knowledge and what we've learned over those years, but partly like, you know, how much time it takes to do something like that, you know. But I think years of racing and riding and riding for other brands has given us this kind of wealth of knowledge that we've needed to go to Athy Bikes, because, you know, sometimes we're sitting through a meeting with some of the engineers and the stuff they're talking about, you're like, this is insane, this is mental, like this is on the very limit of like what I can kind of stick with in the conversation, you know. So there's good guys there to work with, but it's quite, you know, we're in at the deep end there.
You can probably feed back in a similar way to, you can probably feed back on what a bike feels like in a similar way to that. They probably listen to you and like, what is he on about? That's
probably.
So it probably goes both ways.
Possibly.
Kind of perfect blend, I feel like.
Yeah, that's kind of, I feel like that's something we have managed to get with Athy Bikes. You know, a good mix of, you know, the engineers are great guys, the guys in the office that are like working on all the details are great. You know, it's a good combination, a good blend of people there, and everyone's super into it.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of bouncing from, you know, project to project. You know, the S series, the aluminium bike has been super popular, and that's allowed us to create a bike that's, you know, super strong, available to more people, you know, at our price point, and hopefully top secret still, but something with a bit more of a electric boost to it coming soon.
That's a nice teaser, that. I like that.
They specifically told me not to mention.
So you beep that.
Yeah, don't mention that there might be an e-bike on its way.
Beep the electric boost bit and the e-bike bit, and when I said electric boost. And when I said it again.
Yeah, all of this can't go in. Yeah,
it feels like maybe a bit of a baptism of fire as well, like starting a bike brand and then we had all the COVID stuff. So the fact that you guys have weathered through all that storm or whatever you'd call it, I don't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even now, like like the industry's in a wild place, and it's kind of a mental time to be doing what we're doing, and it feels like a tough environment, you know, to be operating in.
Yeah. How important was it to keep the race team? Well, to start the race team, I guess, as well. Could you have done it without?
Well, the race team is massive to what we do, because, you know, the race team is in our blood, like it's in our DNA, and the whole bike company is kind of built around that. Everything we do is kind of like, yeah, we could have done it without the race team, but again, it would have been us having to kind of water it down a bit and not do it in a way we wanted to. You know, we wanted to have that pressure of not just building a bike that was a great bike, but a bike that was capable of winning World Cups.
Yeah.
And not only that, but that needed to be the first bike we produced. You know, that first bike we ever made had to be capable of going to a full World Cup race season and not just surviving it, but like doing well in it.
Yeah.
And that was on those early notes of like, you know, this has to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that was a kind of a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So it put the pressure on a lot more, but you know, we managed it. The bike was bloody good, and it's kind of mind blowing to
win.
Yeah, Rach.
Lenside?
Yeah, I forget which one it was.
Yeah.
One of the many.
One of the many.
But the race team.
Stop going on about it.
I know, she's still talking about it. But the race team is like integral to everything we do, and we love it as well. Like, you know, the World Cups, there's no greater environment to test a bike. You know, you guys have been there and seen what they go through, and you know, if you can get a bike to a race and just get it to survive a World Cup, it's an incredible feat. And yeah, we love the racing, and it's a huge part of everything we do. So, you know, it's massive to us.
We let's have a quick break. We'll have a quick break, Ollie. Is that all right?
I've got a good question after the break.
Have you?
Yeah, hang around. Yeah.
Ollie, mate, we're just coming out of summer. It's been hot, sticky, sweaty. And one thing I've struggled with is wearing knee pads. They're just too sweaty. Have you got any solutions?
Not with these Stage Pros, they're not sweaty.
No.
I mean, they're so breezy. I'm actually thinking about not wearing a helmet anymore. I'm just wearing these instead.
Yeah, you should do.
I'll be honest. Yeah.
The knee pads are that good, you can wear them on your head. Is that kind of what we're saying?
Basically, they're so light, you barely feel like you have them on.
Yeah. Do you know it's on your head, or have you forgot?
What, sorry?
Do you know it's on your head, or have you forgotten?
What's on my... I forgot.
Mate, it's been there all day. We've just been out for lunch. You've had the knee pad on you.
I actually forgot about that.
All
time. The thing is, even though they're light, you would think they wouldn't do anything, but you're wrong. They have D3O, so they're flexible until you need them to protect you in a crash situation.
Nice, mate.
See that? Look how flexible it is.
Yeah, it is super flexible. I'm playing with them right now.
If I did that, it would actually hurt. So I'm actually not going to do it.
You should.
No, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to look like an idiot in this ad.
Comment knee pad head, and on the next ad, Ollie's going to take one to the face. Mate, I love this nice thick band because, honestly, every time you wear knee pads, they end up slipping down, don't they? And they become like shin pads.
For you?
They
Not
do
for
for me. I mean, my legs are massive.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, the wide band really helps in that.
Yeah.
Like, I think all previous knee pads I've had a much narrower band, and they either slip down or they dig in. These, no.
So true. The nice little bit of grip on the inside as well. You know, one of the nice little features tells you on the inside, left or right.
That's always good, isn't it?
That's always nice.
Lefty loosey, righty tighty.
Yes. So they are, they're really nice, dude. Lovely. They've only just been released as well. Brand new Stage Pro.
Absolutely. I've been a long time offender of someone who gets up first thing in the morning, puts their knee pads on, and then literally wears them for a whole day. And I've never been more comfortable than these new TLD Stage Pros. They're available at your nearest bike shop.
Yes.
Or online.
Yes. troyleedesigns.com.co.uk, wherever you are. If you just put in, if you go on the internet and you got that bit at the top where you type the letters, if you just put in Troy Lee Designs there,
just do that.
Take you to where you need to go, and then you can buy the best knee pads on the market.
Absolutely. Amongst other things.
Amongst all the other things, like the t-shirt you're wearing, the hat I'm wearing.
Clearly best stuff, isn't it?
These helmets, all the good stuff. Oh, that's better.
I'm going to put my cap back on and let's head back to the show.
Let's.
It's TLD, by the way, to those who are listening.
I'll see you there.
Ciao.
Welcome to the Bike Star.
Hi there. I'm looking for a little R&R for my bike. Do you have any different things you can suggest, maybe? My name's Ollie Wilkins.
Yes, Ollie. Let me take you through our treatments. we believe we can offer something for every rider and their bike. First, we have the Perenni Massage.
That sounds really nice, yeah.
Or we have the Sound Bath.
Sound bath.
If you really want to treat it, we have an incredible hot yoga session available.
I suppose the heat's quite nice. It probably does. Yeah, okay.
However, we do have the custom wrap.
The custom wrap?
Our custom wrap is a custom-fitted PPF wrap designed exclusively for your bike. It provides a rejuvenating and revitalizing finish. It really doesn't get much better than that.
No way. I mean, obviously I'm going to go for that then. Yeah, please.
Great choice. I'll put that right in. While you wait, you can take advantage of our mindfully prepared bike owner relaxation space, complete with carefully selected multimedia entertainment and the refreshing scent of eucalyptus aromatherapy.
This place is the best.
Would you like a glass of cucumber-infused glacial water?
Yes, I would.
I'm in sunny Shrewsbury in the UK, the birthplace of Charles.
Hey up.
Darwin, the man who gave us the first
Water's pretty good, isn't it?
election. And that means that the strongest of
What a lease of life. I can't even believe it's you.
I tell you what, mate, we always say it, but that genuinely, what an ad.
Fantastic.
Unbelievable effort. Well done. You did really good in that one.
I feel refreshed and rejuvenated.
You do.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, how about you want to pass that feeling onto your bike? All you got to do, head to invisiframe.co.uk, enter the code REFRESH and RIDE. What is it, Ollie?
Is that refresh and ride?
All in capitals, and that'll get you a whopper of 15% off kits, decals, anything on the site. Refresh and Ride, 15% off. Thank you, Invisiframe. Back to the episode. Great break. But
Great
I've
break.
been anticipating this question that you've hopefully not forgot. But you
I
teased.
have forgotten it. Okay. I think I remember. I had it really worded nicely before the break, but I
You
now
should
it's a
have
jumble.
warned me about it before, so I could have thought.
I really should have. Yeah,
A good
I really
answer.
should have. Was this all of this in your wildest dreams when you were little? When you were riding, where'd you grow up riding?
In the southwest, somewhere called Kerswell, a little village.
K-hole trails.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Would you have ever imagined any of this was even possible?
No, absolutely not, because we weren't really exposed to like when we started riding, we weren't exposed to like the world that was already there. You know, we were riding purely because we loved it and purely because it was fun, but we didn't have, you know, at least for a long time, you know, access to, well, we didn't really know that there was a whole kind of a mountain bike or BMX scene around, you know.
Yeah.
We were just riding because we loved ripping down a track as fast as we could go and seeing how far we could fly off this kicker, you know. And that's just all we would do for years on end.
Like you're sort of inventing it. That's what I feel like. That
Yeah.
period of time feels like you're inventing it when you're younger. It's
Yeah. Well, you are. You're kind of just you're drawn to it, and you find your way into it. And there's, you know, there were all these other people doing it the same around the world, but you don't know that that's happening.
Yeah.
You're just
True.
doing it and thinking that like you're the first person to like sail a bike that far through the air and slam down in a heap, you know.
You
So-
are right though, Ollie. Like, if you could, as a child, you sit and you write, you write down this vision of I want to ride my own bike park with my own bike.
Yeah.
It's really quite something, man, when you look at what you guys have achieved and yourself, and it's just
I think it's
mind-blowing.
too crazy, actually.
Yeah.
Because I think a bike park wouldn't have existed.
True.
Perhaps even a dual suspension mountain bike that would allow you to go down some of these, like certainly some of the stuff that you've ridden over the years was not possible on bikes back then.
Yeah, true.
You know, like it's almost too crazy. It's like imagining it's like a hoverboard, Back to the Future.
Yeah.
It's almost just like.
But Athy has always been really good at like being able to picture something, being able to create an idea or a vision in his mind that's not connected to where you are at the moment. I'm very much like, if I can see how I can get somewhere at this stage and go to that and then this detail and then that, and that'll get me to here. Whereas Athy can just come up with like this concept that's like way out there, you know, completely miles from where you are currently, and be like, yeah, I like that idea. Let's go for that.
Wow.
And then me and Rach and, you know, Dan Brown will just be like, no, that's just not going to work. There's no way. Like, here's all the reasons why it won't work, you know. And Athy's like, no. Well, this is a good idea, and he won't be able to tell you why, like, or how, or, you know, this is the way it needs to be structured so that works, and he'll just have this vision, and just, you know, quietly set off towards it, and he'll get there, you know. He'll make it happen, and he'll kind of shape everything that needs to be shaped along the way to get there, and we just get like, you know, you have to go along with him because, you know, you can't fight it.
I was going to say, have you learnt to like trust him over the years, or is it not a question you don't really have any power over it?
No, because sometimes, you know, there have been ideas where we've had to like shut them down, you know, like we've had to veto them, and
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
and sometimes,
Is there
you
anything
know,
come up that you've not gone for?
yeah, we've had to, yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, oh my God, what were we thinking? Thank God we didn't go down that route. But then other times I'm like, oh, this is happening, and I just know it's not going to work, and like I can just see this being a disaster. And
The loop on turns.
Yeah, but it's been the same. Like he was the same when we were kids, and it was like him building a feature all the way through to like, you know, what he creates now, and it's the same kind of mindset. And I've learned to, you know, how to deal with how he works and how he thinks, and, you know, I think I'm more of a details person than him, which is probably lucky because, you know, if it was just him with these wild ideas, you know, he would just be flying from like mental tangent to crazy tangent. But
This might be a silly question, but like, how do you keep that family, how do you put it, like, thing moving forwards? Because, you know, people kind of summarize it as the Atherton Bike Park, the Atherton Bike brand, the Atherton race team, whatever. Like, how do you always stay on the same page as a family? That's really quite remarkable.
yeah, it's tricky, and there's definitely times when we don't, you know.
Yeah.
There's definite clashes and disagreements, and, you know, should we go this direction, should it go that direction? I guess we all work well together, you know. We work well, and we know how the others work as well.
Okay.
Like Athy's super chilled, super calm, you know. Very rarely he's going to have an argument with someone. Rach is much more fiery, like there's a lot more, like, you know, a lot more just mentalness there. She's just like a lot wild, but in a good way, you know. It's because you need that energy as well, you know. And we do work well together, and there are some times where, you know, where we have to decide, like, don't go with that idea, we're going to go this way, or but I guess we're lucky in the sense that, like, generally we all kind of agree in the direction it's going to go, and if we don't, then we won't normally go with it, you know.
Can I just
yes,
say
Ollie.
the reason I was laughing then, okay?
Yeah.
Just to make clear, I've just gone to the listener questions. The listener questions are might be our record of listener questions.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's quite
God.
Number 1,
Are we going to go through them all?
Rachy box. After what you just said, who is right more often, Rach or G? That was the first question I looked at. It was as you were saying, Rach is more fiery, and
Wow.
I thought that was fucking funny.
Yeah.
funny.
Well, Rach is she's spent so long being like an athlete and just like knowing that you just have to have absolute ultimate tunnel vision to make something work, that it's hard to like, and it is hard to like switch your mindset slightly and be a bit more like, you know, open to working with people, seeing things their way. Like, you know, it is a bit more, it is tricky to do that, you know.
Yeah.
And she's so good at being an athlete and so good at like, you know, being the incredible race machine that she's been for so long. Like, she'll still come in with like, you know, gnarly flare-ups, just me and her shouting at each other. But Athy's always the calm one, the chilled one.
I mean, it can be expected, I guess. Listener questions, but before we do that,
Yeah.
Hardline. Got to talk about the flagship Atherton event, the Red Bull event, whatever we call it now. It was our first year this year.
It was both of us. First
It
time.
was
we
our
went.
first
Oh, is that
time.
right?
Yeah, first time.
Okay. What did you think?
I mean, yeah.
Very cool.
It's cool, huh?
It's going to be hard to like put words to it. The track walk was definitely eye-opening, I think, for both of us, especially me. But yeah, mate, unreal. What an event.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
An honour to be there and be kind of part of it, doing what we were doing. I think one of the major takeaways was a year where there wasn't many changes to the course. It felt like riders were quite comfortable quite quickly, especially riders that had been there previously. So what do you have plans moving forward for that track? Is there more going on with Hardline?
Absolutely. I mean, the number one reason for the lack of course changes this year was that originally the canyon gap that went in was meant to have that whole different section of track leading up to it.
Right.
So we had this massive change that we realized like a month before Hardline that we couldn't make work, and so had to switch back, get rid of the canyon. You know that story.
Yeah.
Which is why we couldn't have any big changes this year.
Okay.
But we're well aware of, Hardline has to keep advancing, and it blows my mind, and it has done for a long time now, how hard you have to push Hardline, how quickly it has to evolve.
Okay.
Because you build a track and some features, and then the guys from Red Bull are like, are you sure this is going to work? Are you sure riders are going to hit this? They turn up, the riders are nervous, and then in what feels like no time, bang, they've tested it, bang, they're comfortable, their race runs through it, and then they're like, what next, Because the riders are so good. The riders are so good at, turning up, getting comfortable on whatever's there, evolving so fast year to year that it's hard to like develop a track to keep up and stay ahead of them.
How interesting.
Maybe we can rewind to the very first Hardline and what your kind of like initial aims were when you as a crew took it on.
Well, the idea was, Red Bull, we want to build this, one of the most difficult courses in the world. It was the way Athy had always worked. Build a track, super difficult, with as many difficult features on it, and we'll invite a load of racers to come along. And we came up with this concept, and we put it to Red Bull, and they were like, yeah, okay, that sounds quite good. And we were like, okay, is it going to happen? Can we do an event this year? And they're like, yeah, we're working on it. And it's creeping closer and closer. We're like a few months out. We're like, is it going to happen? We need to start building it. We need the budget. This is what it's going to cost. And they're still dragging their feet. And then Athy was like, oh, we're just going to start building it. Like him and the boys and a big crew just start working on this track. And then eventually Red Bull were like, okay, yeah, we'll go with it, which was lucky because the course was almost finished by this point.
Really?
And then the first year it was we had no idea what to expect, you know, and it was a bit mental. It was a bit.
First year live broadcast or not?
I can't even remember. It
No,
might not have been.
I don't think it was.
I don't think it
because
was.
It was like there was like an NDA. No one could talk about it.
Yeah,
At
and it
least,
was
like afterwards a show.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, and it was just like people crashing everywhere. Like the course was not really ready. Like wet lips. Like the gaps were huge. Some features didn't work. Year 2, like the course was better, but everyone had seen what happened in year 1, so we were struggling to get any riders to come along. Like years 2 and 3, I think there was like 7 or 8 people in the finals because there was just no one there, you know.
Yeah.
And then it gradually kind of refined and grew into like a bit more of a kind of a well-rounded event, and it gradually picked up momentum. And you know, it's crazy to see the kind of, you know, where it's going now, and the amount of coverage it gets, and how many people are watching it, and it's turned into quite a big beast now.
Yeah, it seems that way. Yeah, especially with it rolling out as well. Rolled out.
Yeah, exactly. And it going to other countries is crazy, you know.
Yeah.
It's mad being on the other side of the world at like a Red Bull Hardline event, and like all these people are there for this crazy event. It's so cool to see.
Did you name it as well?
Yeah, I can't remember I don't know where that name came from. I think it's not very original, is it really? We could have thought of something better, I'm sure.
No, it's cool, isn't it? I mean, how hard can Hardline be? How big can you go?
Well, I mean, it needs to be hard. Like it needs to be. We want it to be in that situation where the riders are turning up, walking the track, they're nervous, they're like, because in my eyes, that's what like glues those riders together. That's what like knits them together in that little unit, you know, that camaraderie that you see at Hardline. We don't want that to fracture off where like riders are there on their own doing fast laps because they want to try and win.
Yeah.
You want the riders to be there in a small team because they're all trying to survive and they're all helping each other down the mountain, and someone's hit this gap, so they're going to tow them in, and it makes them all work together, and it's almost the riders against the track. You know?
It's well funny that you make a filthy, horrible downhill track in order to make people like hang out more together.
Yeah,
True.
The fear brings everyone together, you know. Yeah, and that's amazing to see, and it's like
it was really
one
cool
of my
for us
favourite
to be
things
there.
about it.
It really was. Like we spent a lot of time around the girls, didn't we?
Yeah.
Nothing creepy. We were just around at the same time. No, we were like just around when they were testing features, and that camaraderie and just watching them figure it out together was really cool.
Well, do you know what? I think that group of girls wanted to tick off the whole line, didn't they? So naturally it brings them closer together because they're sort of experiencing the same problem that if everyone was there for the first year would be doing, I guess.
Yeah, the girls, like the last year or so, are going through what the guys went through, you know, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, that fear, that like force together to like try and beat the course, you know.
Yeah. It was good. It was amazing.
So you talked about like it has to forever evolve. What direction do you think it evolves in now? Like, does it go higher speeds, even bigger jumps, or do you make features more technical and steeper, or what? Do you have like a vision of where you think the evolution is of Hardline?
Yeah, I think it just evolves at every level, and every year people are like, but where do we go now? Like, this is the kind of the limit of what we can do, and it isn't, you know, like it just needs to go bigger. Like the gaps can go bigger, the track can be faster, it can be gnarlier, more technical sections, it could be longer, it could be rougher. Like, the riders are so good, you know, the riders are incredible athletes and adapt so well to whatever you put there. And, you know, the canyon gap was controversial and people didn't like it because it suddenly, you know, it kind of showed them what could go wrong. And it kind of made people a bit uncomfortable, but, you know, it needs to go to kind of this size of a feature and just gaps that are uncomfortable to do, you know, and it is Hardline, and it needs to be challenging to keep these riders on their toes.
Should World Cup tracks be going the same way?
No, I don't think so, because you couldn't have, you know, that many people, that many rounds. Like, it's incredible what happens during a Hardline weekend, and it happens because Red Bull have got such a great events team, and you know, there are so many people involved, putting so much effort in, you know, the budget involved, the people there, like, it's a huge undertaking, and it would be hard for a World Cup to morph into that, you know.
Okay.
I mean, it would be sick for sure. Imagine that, but I just don't think it would work. And you know, what they're trying to create with World Cups is yeah, it doesn't need that kind of that course to go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the pace makes it dangerous on a World Cup track. Like if it was like a track that a normal bike rider could get down, it doesn't really matter because the pace that the pointy end are going at, in fact the whole field is going at, is so unbelievably horrific, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, is there a size at Hardline where you think it can still... I tell you what, I'm making a confusing question here, but like, I feel like Hardline it's now becoming a real race. You see people really pushing, don't you? And I think for a long time it was just like, I made it down.
Yeah.
I've done
I'm alive.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted.
Yeah. Like, how do you balance that, making a racetrack and making something that is truly something that... Because you still need it to be like, yes, I've made it down, don't you?
Yeah, and it still needs to be a good race, you know. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want it to just be like a survive down the track. We want it to be like, you know, riders battling for those tenths of a second. So it is a hard balance to get those two things. I would say the riders are probably too comfortable on the course now, and it's allowed it to go too much, you know, about the race. We need to go back to like adding that tension and that, you know, that survival element to it a little bit. So it is hard to balance. And of course, you know, when we've done it for 10 or 11 years, there's going to be years where it kind of sways one way more than the other, and inevitably a new track or lots of new features are going to take it back to the kind of just get through it style. And when a track's been there for a while, it goes towards the racing. So
yeah,
you know, there's probably changes to be made, and that's what we'd like to do, is just keep evolving it and keep kind of shaping it into, you know, what it can be.
Yeah.
That's always what we want to try and achieve.
Kind of focusing as well on like the Welsh course. Are you happy with it moving as well, or does it feel kind of weird that it's not in the garden anymore?
I think it's cool, you know. I think it's amazing to see, because, you know, it going to Tasmania, it's not Hardline Wales. It's a completely different take on Hardline, because, you know, you're working with what you have and on the other side of the world. And
yeah,
you know, Tassie's incredibly fast. Like, it's such a high speed track. It's like, this year was the first year I rode it, and it blew my mind, like when I arrived and started riding the course, like how fast you were going and how much information you had to process. And it took a few days of riding it to like get into that like ability of thinking like 3 turns ahead, because you knew there was it was wild.
The jungle bit does look
oh yeah
it's video games.
yeah. And you were having to do like mad techniques, like go through this section. I don't know, I had to remember like, right, there's like 7 fast jumps what you could death grip before you could do like a blip of the brakes for like that slight turn. And you had to memorize like exactly where that like brake snag would be if you did it too early or like if you did it too late, you know. It was just like a mad way, and it was it's like a different take on Hardline. And then, you know, if it goes to another round somewhere else, then, you know, it'll be another take on it again. And every time it goes somewhere new, it's like its own kind of version of it, and it shapes it slightly.
Dude, I reckon it needs its own. I mean, what is it? We know it's the most challenging downhill courses in the world, but is that a style of riding on its? Is that super downhill? Is that like? Ooh. Do you know what I mean? Is it becoming its own thing? Well,
I wonder that myself, you know, that you almost are starting to see riders that are like, you know, that's kind of what they do. You know, there's a rider with a certain ability, and not everyone has it, you know. Just because if you took the top riders at a World Cup, they wouldn't necessarily be the top riders at Hardline, you know.
True.
Some riders shift to it well, and some riders wouldn't. And I think there's a gradually, you know, and you see it with Rampage that happened a while ago, like
and
there's this races. Kind of it kind of brings through this little core of riders that are like, you know, a unique blend of like that ability to do that kind of wild big gaps, kind of quite treacherous riding, but do it in a way where they can try and shave a tenth of a second off and do it, 15 times in a row over a weekend.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool to see, and riders are coping with it better each year.
Yeah, like, is it hard?
Stuck
DH?
on the super downhill.
Super downhill's quite nice.
Good, mate.
Hard enduro. It kind of feels like it's like a mixture of these things.
Yeah, like its own little niche.
Yeah. Maybe worth a thought if the series keeps expanding.
Super downhill. Mate, that's good.
I like it. I like
Right,
it,
should we rip
boys.
some listener questions?
Jesus.
Let's do it, mate. You've got
Have you
got a
vetted
lot.
them first? Should I shout them out?
We do after vetting.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll not read the weird ones out. All right. Okay. Mark Lister, will there be another UK stage tour?
As far as Hardline is that?
Oh, sorry, I think it means like your talks.
Oh, talk. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
sorry, stage tour. Stage, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I would love to. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Cool.
I enjoyed it, but was like, I'd never done anything like that, Pretty nerve-wracking thing to do, stand in front of a load of people and talk about yourself. Well, it's kind of just what I've just done, but talk about yourself for an hour and a half to a load of people.
Yeah, but with no one coming back to you, it's kind of, it's bloody hard, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can only imagine it's super hard, yeah.
Yeah, and it was tricky, but every time it felt like we lost a bit of like momentum or energy, I would just stick on a crash video and show myself tumbling down a hill, and it would like bring the audience back. Like
Just crickets and then check this out.
Yeah, people checking their phones and yawning, and I'm like, stick the crash, throw another crash video on. Everyone's back.
We'll stick this one on again.
Yeah.
Slow motion this time.
Replay another angle.
Oh dear.
Turtle Lily, what would you say to your 12-year-old self?
Don't do it. Stay in school. Leave the bikes.
I've actually, that was one of the questions I wrote down in the notes. Actually, it's not the same as this, but what does what's Gee Atherton look like if he was an only child?
Oh my goodness.
So good.
So
it's a
much
really hard
more,
question to answer, but like
so much more relaxed, a lot happier, much better off. Yeah, just generally.
Much in the mornings, maybe.
Yeah, just generally. No, I'd be lost. I'd be lost without those two. They're both absolutely nuts, and they're both hard work, and both just mayhem on the day to day, but somehow it works well.
Cute.
hell yeah.
Adrian Wilkinson on our Patreon. Who does G think is the next rider to take over from what he does or has achieved? From world champion to Rampage to freeride legend.
Great question. Man.
Good question.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, there are so many young kids coming through that are like incredibly talented.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see like that age of like what show that talent is like coming down and down each year as well. Like so young,
Yeah.
kids that are like,
What's
that you
Asa?
yeah, young, like, but so talented. And
Yeah.
Ace is one of the riders you could see could turn his hand to anything really, and you can just tell he's comfortable in almost any environment, and whether it's World Cups or Hardline or I could see
Flipping
him
in his qualifying run.
Yeah, exactly, and I could see him if he turned his hand to Rampage, doing bloody well there. He's just comfortable on the bike and good at what he does.
Yeah. Good answer. Great question. I'm going to do one more from Patreon while I've got it open, if that's all right. Explosive Club, another fantastic question, to be fair. Dyfi has become, in my mind, synonymous with being a World Cup riders' training ground. With riders like BK moving closer to the park, how has this influenced the park over the years?
Yeah, that's true, and we're very flattered that it's people see it as somewhere they can go and prepare for some of the hardest tracks in the world. I wouldn't, we don't want the bike park to be a solely like somewhere people go for World Cup training, and we are trying to kind of include more, red tracks, fun tracks, jump tracks, and I think it's got this reputation as being quite a gnarly place to go and quite a tough spot to ride. But really, over the last 2 or 3 years, it has kind of changed into like more of an all-round riders park, I think, and we're trying to show that to people, that it's not just this, World Cup only bike park.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. It is, but it's also very cool that you've created something that is like good enough to train for the pinnacle of the sport.
Yeah,
it's literally like a training ground.
Yeah, and it's so good. Like early season when like the riders are all getting ready for the season and getting into it, and it's sick to see them all there and doing fast laps. And like, even though I'm not getting ready for World Cups, you still get drawn in. Me and Jono will be there. Like, when neither of us racing World Cups that season, but like we'll be in with the boys doing fast laps, and you get like drawn into trying to go like World Cup speed, and it's just so sick to like. It's cool to see.
Yeah, that's rad. Well, May, after you.
Rowan.df, what's one MTB goal you hope to achieve?
Ooh. Well, I never won Rampage, but
second place.
Still time. Yeah, 2 second places.
2 second places.
Fancy yourself back out there?
I mean, I love Rampage, and it's such a sick event. I would go in a heartbeat, but there's some bloody good riders coming along now, so hard to get in there now, I'd say.
Is it? Yeah.
And there's a lot of youngsters that are, which is cool to see, how many people are keen to throw down for an event like Rampage now.
Would you truly want to go back, or is it more of a decision?
No, I love it. It's such a sick event.
But
I kind of wish I was going this year, even if I wasn't riding, just to watch, but I kind of ran out of time.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're Gee Atherton, you got second at Rampage twice, you're going to have to put something down? Do you feel that? Do you feel a bit of like pressure going there, or? No,
not at all. And the result isn't,
Oh, that's sick. That's
I don't
actually
really,
not the answer. Yeah,
I don't really think about the results that much. What Rampage for me is going out into the desert with a few boys, getting up at like sunrise, driving into this mad environment, spending the whole day there, like pickaxing in the hot sun, and then just going home, doing it all again the next day, and just blowing yourself to pieces for 2 weeks. And it's just such a sick event. Like I love it. The event isn't, an event I would do for a result or to try and get this position or this podium. It's because you're at Red Bull Rampage and there's nothing else like it in the world. You spend the 2 or 3 weeks in the desert, waking up every morning with this like nervous feeling in the back of your stomach, like I've got to hit that feature.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
It's creeping towards you.
Yeah,
you've spotted this gap or drop that you want to hit, and it's just there waiting for you, just looming over you.
Specifically, can we talk about that drop? Because that has to be, if anything's going to keep you up at night for a solid 2 weeks, it's that drop for me.
And it's like some form of torture. Like you turn up on day one, you've got to walk the entire mountain and find your line on you have to find it day one. Commit to this enormous feature, whatever it is, and then spend 2 weeks just creeping towards it, knowing that at some point you're going to have to test it, and at some point you're going to have to hit it, and it may or may not work, and the outcome is going to be pretty gnarly either way.
Yeah, I mean I think that was the biggest. Sorry to
no,
but I think that was the biggest feature I've stood at the edge of, and the feeling of being on the edge of a building. It was like that drop. I don't think everyone's seen it and everyone's seen how big it is, but there is something about actually being there, and I know that's an annoying thing to say.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's really, really true. Standing on top of your drop didn't get easier. I looked at it every single day.
Never got nicer, did it?
Didn't get nicer. Not one bit. Not one tiny bit nicer. Did it get nicer for you?
No. And I remember the moment, day of testing it, after all this time building, I'm there, push up on the run in, roll towards it, and look over the edge, and there's a scattering of photographers down there, the boys, not many people around, push back up, do another roll in, few more photographers and videographers have gathered because they've seen you up there. Go back up, another roll in, look over, and there's just like everyone has come, you know, every photographer, videographer, iPhone, they're all there. And you're like, oh, shit, I'm going to have to hit it now. And your goggles go on, your helmet's on, and you just feel your heart like beating out of your chest, and you just drop in. And as I roll off this like blind takeoff, you just see the valley behind it. And as I drop, I remember that like sinking feeling in my stomach, as I know I've like come in a bit quick, and I know I've gone too fast, and I'm just like falling through the air, just like ripping out the sky. And then I just slammed the floor and massive crash. But that feeling of like dropping, like that roller coaster feeling,
Yeah, I was
is
gonna
you
say,
like,
the only way I've ever experienced that is like jumping off something into water.
yeah, that falling.
It's never had a bike underneath me.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I can't say I could really relate, dude.
Just accelerating down. Yeah,
Going
you
towards
like
terminal velocity.
yeah, and your stomach just goes like through your mouth.
I got a question. As you're talking about this sort of like build up and all the people coming, they're all gathering round, and you know, obviously you want to do it. You want to tick it off before big day. At what point do you do the kind of the fear goes away? Is that you putting knee pads on, or is it literally at the top of the run, or is it first thing at breakfast in the morning? How do you do it?
Oh, it's like this little secret moment, like, you know, I've just got up, I'm like making breakfast, and then like something pops into my head. I'm like, probably gonna have to hit that feature today. And then like you talk to the boys, and they're like, are you gonna test it today? And I'm like, nah, we'll just build today. I'll maybe just do a bit of riding to warm up. And then they're like, are we going to test it now? And you're like, nah, I'm probably not going to test it, but I'll do a few roll-ins just to see how it feels. But you don't want to call it, you know, you don't want to be like, I'm going to hit that today, because then, you know, everyone is waiting for you to hit this feature, you know.
So the moment is literally breakfast.
It's like this kind of, it's just this indeterminate time early in the day, like, and it's the same whether it's Rampage or you're testing a feature, or like, you know, this line that I've just been building at home, right, had this one big gap on it that I was just nervous for this big drop, because it was big, you know, trees on the landing, kind of scrappy. I'd built it, so wasn't sure if it was going to work or not. And you wake up in the night and you're like, oh God, I've got to hit that soon, and it would like be there. And when you're there in the day, you're like with the lads, brave as anything. You're like, this will be fine. But then at home, in the dark, in bed, you wake up and you're like, oh my God, what am I thinking? You know, I've got to do that.
Have you ever had the thought that you're like, oh, I'm nervous and I'm Gee Atherton?
No, but do you know what the worst feeling is? Probably worse than that nervous feeling is when you're like, I'm not going to do it, and then you decide not to do something, and you walk away from it, and then it's there. Oh my God, that haunts me. That plays on my mind. Yeah,
I'm
that's
with you on
hard to
that,
deal
yeah.
with. And then it stays with me. It's not like I've decided not to do it, I move on. I'll be like thinking about it for days after.
You're like, I'm less.
I'm like, why didn't I do that? I should have done that.
I feel like the feelings are relatable, but
The scale.
yeah. So for me, I have that with turning a light switch off. I should have gone back and turned that off, but you're doing it about massive drops.
Yeah, but
Like,
it eats
picking
me
later,
up.
I'm like, I should have gone back and picked that up, and I'll think about it for a few days. Like, I should have picked it up. But yours, yeah, the consequences are just.
Yeah, but I had that very thing happen on the project in Kazakhstan last year. We built this, we 3/4 built this big gap, big step down. It was huge. The landing was, we couldn't get it nice because we couldn't get water there. We were middle of nowhere. And the lads were like, this is bad. And I decided in the end, oh, this is too dangerous. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. And we walk off. And then, even after the trip, I'm back in England. The film's gone out already. Like, the edit's out. And I'm still like, oh, I should have hit that step down. And it stays, it eats away at me.
What
Weirdly.
about the Ridgeline feature? Is that still there?
Which one?
The one you crashed on?
The one I crashed on. Oh, yeah, no, that's all still there. But
yeah,
I'm perfectly
peace
easy with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, trying something and crashing on it, that's fine. Like,
okay, right. It's just that it wasn't done. Right.
Yeah, it's just when you walk away from it, you make that decision.
Yeah.
Because I'll second guess myself and be like, that would have been fine.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I've got stuff that I've nailed myself on. I'm like, I don't actually.
Oh yeah, I never want to go back to it.
No,
book
because
closed. Cool.
Because you know.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, well I would be fine just if I went a bit slower. You know, like that's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
It's like I've done it basically, just a bit too fast or a bit too slow.
Yeah, exactly. You got
But-
to the landing,
But
you know?
walking away is a
Yeah.
crappy old feeling.
Oh.
I can see it. Not the same as you in any way. I'm not comparing, but I can understand that. Yeah.
But probably not as bad as, you know, trying it and getting hurt and then having months off, you know. So it's hard one to say which is best.
Yeah.
Should we do a couple more? Mindful
Please.
of time.
Yeah, you've got to get out of here soon, actually.
No rush. What's next? Good
Um,
questions.
Okay.
They are. We've honestly got so
There's
many as well,
bro.
which
yeah.
is
I think this one's quite interesting. Matt Dixon Drums. What's Gee's diet like? Looks strong, but lean conditioned throughout his career, even today. There's a few compliments in there actually. As well.
You know what? These
that's
questions are
nice,
very
yeah.
good. You've got a very they pay a lot of attention. Your audience,
There's
the
some
listeners, eh?
weird ones if you want them as well.
No,
They are in
happy
there.
not to. My diet's generally quite good. I mean, I don't like go out of my way hugely to try and eat well and stick to it. But I think, you know, I guess it's habit through years of racing and training.
Yeah.
And probably seeing the impact it has. You know, if I'm like I have to stay fit and strong now if I'm going to stay riding from the injuries and crashes. And you know, if I'm fit and strong, I can deal with it. As soon as I'm a bit out of shape or I'm not in a good condition, I feel every injury I've ever had. So
Right.
I just try and stay as healthy as I can, really.
Daniel J. Hogan actually asked what specific kind of training has been most beneficial when it comes to. He said improving, but I think just generally in like riding, what training have you found to be the best?
Well, I think when I was racing, a huge amount of my training was geared towards, you know, performance, you know, being able to go faster on a bike and, you know, put out more power, accelerate, blah, blah, blah. But a huge amount of my training, and still is now, is geared towards, you know, not picking up as many injuries. So, you know, that's the side of the training I try and focus on the most, you know, and I think that's kind of probably the most important, trying to...
So what's an example of that? Like calisthenics or
Yeah,
big time weightlifting or...
a lot in the gym and often changing, but, you know, trying to not just focus on like, you know, the big muscle groups, but all the connecting parts of your body, you know, like if I've got a strong core and lower back, like that helps so much when you're having a big ragdoll tumble, you know. Shoulders, if you can keep your shoulders strong, huge amount of like neck work now as well, making sure my neck's strong for not just neck injuries but concussions as well. If you're like whipping into the floor, like the stronger your neck is, that helps with concussions massively. So, you know, all these little areas that almost you would overlook in a regular gym session, perhaps.
I love this. G's so gnarly that someone asked him about training, and then I reckon the person at home that's listening, they're like, I immediately regret asking. It's like, I've got to train my neck now for concussions. Fuck.
Damn it! I wish I didn't know that.
Oh man.
Oh dear. James James something. G, is there any extreme event around the globe you would like to enter which isn't mountain bike related? Wow, that's getting mad.
I think the hard enduro events look pretty wild. They look so gnarly. I mean, I wouldn't be capable of completing one because they are difficult, you know. But I like how wild they look, you know.
Yeah.
What's the closest thing in mountain biking, would you say? Because I agree. I like it. Like the
Yeah, I don't know.
like cardio, grit, and do you know, I like watching Billy. There's something just sort of like just gnarly about it, like manhandling a bike around and just...
Oh yeah, it just looks unpleasant for like a few hours of like,
Yeah.
or however long it's going to take you, you know.
Yeah.
It just looks just hard at every, you know, technical, physical, like every level.
Because
Phil
Meg
Atwell
Avalanche...
was here as well the other week, and he's really taken to the hard enduro. I think he did Erzberg.
Oh really? Yeah, I think some of the mountain
Romaniacs,
bikers
was it?
cross
Romaniacs,
well.
something like that.
Oh, Romaniacs, yeah, I know a few boys have done that.
Yeah.
It looks,
So
It'd be
basically
sick to
something
do.
two-wheeled you'd kind of into.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Sounds good.
K-Dog91. I thought this is quite an interesting question. There's so many good ones, honestly. But he said, have you managed to take the mental strength you've gained on the bike and apply it to other areas?
Yeah, that is a good question, isn't it? I would say that a lot of what I've learned from, from the riding and the racing over the years, I do try and like take into other areas of my life. But then also, sometimes you can't, sometimes you have to accept that in another area of life, you have to work a bit more, you have to conform a bit more and work as people do. And you can't just take this like weird way of working that works on your mountain bike in the mountains, but doesn't necessarily work in everyday life.
Yeah, because you've had a different life, eh? It's not a standard, like if you were imagining like a, let's say you roll at Atherton Bikes, if you could say you've got a managerial role in an office for a bike company, you've had a different path to most that find themselves in those spots. Like it's pretty good that you can actually, you're aware of that, I would say.
Yeah,
it's like
and that's something I've learned over the last few years. I'm like, I'll check myself sometimes,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
about
good,
to say
yeah.
something and then I'm like, ooh, this is one of those times where like that's a mental thing to say.
Yeah.
Or I will say something and then it will just be silence and they'll be like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, don't worry about it. That I didn't mean to say that.
Nothing.
You're an idiot.
All right. Should we do one more?
Yeah, mate. I mean,
There's so many.
Honestly, I'm really impressed. As you said, I'm really impressed on like.
This could be a bit of a teaser as well, I think.
Oh, okay.
So let's go with this one. Trail Builders Nepal. How excited are you for the upcoming project in Nepal?
Oh,
That's a good little teaser, I think.
that is a very good teaser. Yeah, we've a big project coming. Another big mountain, epic. Another big mountain, hostile environment, lines that may or may not work. And this is, the big mountain side has got a lot of potential, I think. It's something we've done a bit of already, but we've not gone into it with as much, we've not thrown ourselves into it as deep as we can. Okay. And it's picking up some momentum, and some longer term kind of plans and ideas are starting to come about now, and it's kind of picking up a bit of speed, and it's quite cool because it's something I love doing. It's something that is kind of still new enough to me to keep me like 100% on my toes, like in a wild environment. And there's a few projects coming up that are I'm quite excited about, and quite excited for you guys to see it as well.
Yeah, so you're big mountain riding on the biggest mountains.
That's it. And I think, where we...
It is there, isn't it? That big, the really big one is there, isn't it?
The really big ones. Yeah. They're all there.
Yeah.
And where we've taken the project so far, every time we get through one, we're like, that was hard. That was difficult, but we did get through it, What can we learn from that and take it to somewhere new and take it to another level and push it a little bit further? And that's kind of where I'm at with these big mountain projects now.
Oh, what a place to end.
Hey,
fantastic.
This has been unreal. Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys.
We finally made it happen.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm quite I'm quite honoured to be here as well. It's
Bless you.
it's long time listener, first time caller, as Eddie Masters would say.
Oh really? Yeah. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
It's been wicked. That was a banger episode, and big thanks for making it happen.
Oh, thank you, boys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gee Atherton. Go on, Ollie.
Thank you, boys.
Sign us out. Like and subscribe. Mate, what an episode.
Brilliant. I thought you were really great, Davey.
Mate, and I thought you were even better.
Thanks, dude.
Better than normal.
Oh, cheers.
Hey, how about we tell our lovely podcast community to hit subscribe here.
Yeah.
Click on the video on Ollie's face.
That's right.
Click on the video on my face.
Yeah.
And follow us at The Ride Companion on Instagram.
They can like and comment as well.
Please do.
I'm going to try and get this energy, and I'm going to bring it into next week.
Let's fast forward to next week's episode.
Done.